If you've ever had a hankering to order Jimmy's Seafood, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. And welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. Today is going to be the Tuesday, February 24th edition. Are there still tariff concerns looming? Looks like it with the market. We've got the State of the Union here tonight. What stocks will that move? Almost certainly there will be some in there. And it's Tuesday, so it's a T3 Tuesday. We've got another guest for you here today. We've got some news to go over. AMD making some waves. Home Depot reporting earnings here this morning. So no shortage of events here today. Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook is going to break them all down for you. The Benzinga Pre-Market Playbook Tuesday edition for February 24th, 2026 begins right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. I hope you had a wonderful rest of your Monday evening. Spent mine watching History's Greatest Mysteries. Case closed on the Mona Lisa, which was extremely interesting. Shout out if any of you are looking into that. Anyway, it's great to see a whole bunch of returning faces here today. Francis is first. Good morning, Francis. Welcome. Early birds get the worm around here. Really good stuff. Astro Kev, good morning. It's good to see you again. Welcome back. Crispy Biscuit, good morning. Welcome back. VIR and AES taking off. We will cover VIR here today. That's our top mover on the list. That made a huge move, so we'll definitely be taking a look at that. Lock in, Kev. We're ready to go. Zach, good morning. Welcome back. Jim, good morning. Welcome back. Peter, good morning. Welcome back. I wish Ryan would have seen Mythbusters last night. They were playing golf at Pebble Beach. So I used to watch Mythbusters religiously when I was in college. That was back when Jamie and Adam and Tori and Carrie were on. I don't know. Are they still doing it? Was that a new one? I've seen a number of really good Mythbusters. That was a classic college era show. Glad you enjoyed it. Producer, thank you for everything. As always, Buffalo by Bicycle, good morning. Welcome back. Matthew, good morning. Welcome back. Ezra, good morning as well. Robert, good morning. Yes, that girl, good morning. Robert asking, anyone else use Schwab and unable to log in today? I use Schwab. Well, I use Thinkorswim via Schwab. I had no trouble logging in today on both my desktop and my mobile device. So sorry, I can't be any more help for you there. Got to be on your end, as Brian was saying. Looks like he's all good too. And Brian, good morning. Welcome back. It's good to see you. Sam, good morning. Good to see you as always. Happy Tuesday indeed. Sam, let me ask you here. You got any thoughts on what the next sector move might be? Either with the pullback that we're kind of seeing now to the bottom end of the range or with stuff in the State of the Union, let me know what's on your radar there. Billy, good morning. Welcome back. Solitary Soldier, good morning. Welcome back. Day Trader, good morning. Welcome back. Tom, good morning. All positivity brings productivity in life. Tom, I like it. I like it a lot. In fact, that's a good quote. Good stuff. Good morning and welcome back. Tyler, good morning. Welcome back. Brandy, it's great to see you as always. Welcome back. Ed, good morning. Knights Lance, good morning. Knights Lance, I think you're David from the Happy Hour, right? Correct me if I'm wrong on that. I'm sorry if I'm screwing it up. How about defense stocks, right? How about those defense ETFs? State of the Union, all the stuff going on. You let me know what you think about that. That's something I'm looking at here today. Whis, good morning. Welcome back. Corey, good morning. Welcome back. Cam, good morning. Welcome back. Marionetta, good morning. Welcome back. Lost Penny, it's good to see you as always. Kenzo, good morning. HK Matt, good morning. Dirkus, good morning. Kenneth, good morning. Kelly or two, good morning. Carlos, welcome back. Rooster, good morning. It's good to see you as always. Jay Harris, I figured it out now. I figured it out. Josu. Jay Harris, good morning. Welcome back. Robot to Trade, good morning. Welcome back. Brian, I'm glad I'm not the only one that thought Mythbusters was a... Okay, that is a tongue twister right there. I'm glad I'm not the only one that thought Mythbusters was a certified school classic. Man, I love that show. Stock Trader for Life, good morning. Gilbert, good morning. Knoxville, Tennessee. All right. How's the weather down there in Knoxville? Actually, Tennessee on the short list of places that I want to move. So really awesome. Jim, good morning. Empyrean, good morning. Sam, good morning. Green Gulm, good morning. And yes, Empyrean. And then Wiss. Okay, the Atlanta Braves today announced the launch of Brave Vision, a multimedia platform owned and operated by the organization that will become the official local television home of the Braves. Aren't the Braves one of the only MLB teams that's publicly owned or something like that? You'll have to check me on that, Wiss. There's something there that for the Atlanta Braves organization that's in the public sphere. I can't remember exactly what it is. I'm embarrassing myself right now. Anyway, let me know. Just passing through. Good morning. All right, folks, let's go ahead and get started with our stock market today. Futures hanging on to green this morning ahead of Tuesday's open. They are down from some of their pre-market highs, but again, still holding on to green or trying to. S&P futures are actually unchanged right now, 0.00. They were higher not long ago. Dow futures are still up 0.110, and the NASDAQ is up almost 0.25% there, 0.24% to the upside. So unchanged for the most part, but a little bit green here today. All right. Let's take a look at some cues from last session. On Monday, defensive sectors like consumer staples, healthcare, and utilities led the gains, along with modest growth in energy, real estate, materials. Conversely, the market saw significant declines in financials, consumer discretionary, and industrials, which weighed heavily on overall performance. We also got that report of the Centrini research report that kind of cast a shadow on the ghost GDP behind the whole AI move. We'll talk about that a little bit more as well, but that clearly weighed on the market yesterday. A viral global intelligence crisis report on Monday sparked fears of deflationary depression, suggesting that a successful AI revolution could ironically collapse the consumer economy through mass white-collar unemployment and, quote, ghost GDP. Spooky. We're not even at Halloween yet. Market sentiment was further dampened by renewed geopolitical concerns, specifically President Trump's proposal to increase global tariffs to 15% and the growing friction between the United States and Iran. Trump also threatened global trading partners on Monday, vowing to retaliate with, quote, much higher tariffs, end quote, against any nation that attempts to use the recent Supreme Court ruling to dismantle existing trade agreements. The 10-year Treasury bond yielded 4.03%, and the 2-year bond was at 3.45%. The CME Group's FedWatch tool is basically unchanged, projecting a 95.9% chance that interest rates are held steady at the next meeting in March. Now, we have several stocks in focus for you here today. The first one's going to be Whirlpool. The ticker on this one is WHR. It plunged 7.46% in the pre-market on Tuesday after it launched concurrent, separate, underwritten public offerings of shares of common stock and depository shares, which totaled expected proceeds of $800 million. The next stock on our list is going to be Keysight Technology, and the ticker here is KEYS. It soared 16.04% after reporting better than expected first quarter financial results and issuing strong second quarter guidance. Keysight Tech, the Q1 adjusted EPS of $2.17 beat the $2 estimate, nice beat there, and sales of $1.6 billion beat the estimate of $1.54 billion. They also saw Q2 adjusted EPS of $2.27 to $2.37. That was versus the $1.91 estimate, so a good raise there. And they saw sales of $1.69 billion to $1.71 billion. That was versus the estimate of $1.50 billion. So Keys popping nicely here today on the back of a double beat and guidance raise. The next stock on our list here is going to be Vir Biotechnology, and the ticker on this one is VIR. It surged 63.39% after delivering a significant quarterly revenue of $64.07 million. That surpassed the estimates and narrowed its loss to 31 cents per share. VIR Biotechnology Q4 EPS 31-cent loss, that beat the 41-cent loss estimate, and sales of $64.07 million beat the $23.18 million. So big beat there. VIR popping. That is definitely one of the movers that we'll be taking a look at today. I should have a gap for you on that one too. It actually looks like it's being punctured right now. So we'll check in on that in a little bit here. Next stock on our list is going to be ticker HP. HP was 0.054% lower as analysts expect it to post quarterly earnings of 77 cents per share on revenue of $13.94 billion. That report comes after the close today. The last stock on our list is going to be Uber. This is ticker UBER, and it rose 0.47% after it announced plans to acquire parking app Spot Hero. And actually, I've had to use Spot Hero a couple of times to find discounted parking here in Chicago. And if you've ever tried to park in Chicago, you know that it is borderline extortion, the prices that they charge for that stuff. Spot Hero actually did a really good job. No trouble, very easy to use. And in fact, we did get a discount on that. So good stuff here from Uber. Looks like a good acquisition. All right, let's go back to Pro and let's take a look at the SPY chart. Got to be honest with you, I might just Control C this segment and then Control V it for every day because we really don't seem to change a lot. I'm kidding, of course, but basically we are compressing and continuing to move sideways. The result of yesterday, which was an interesting one, right? We traded up out of the gate yesterday. In fact, let's take a look at the 5 minutes so we can have the visual aid. We traded up out of the open and went right to the high on Friday. So we basically tested 690. The market said, you didn't say the magic word. And then the SPY rolled over here. Now, the good news on the day, we basically sold straight off somehow in here. In one of the bounces, I was able to trade SPY calls for a profit. I think I only made like $100 on it. But considering what the SPY did, I was like, yeah, not the end of the world there. Anyway, the market sold off 10 handles, really reversed 10 handles, 690 down to 680. And it actually bounced off of that area about 3 times. So this 680 definitely going to be a spot today that we want to take a look at. Now, we're a little bit higher here in the pre-market. We drifted higher in the overnight session. Indeed, we've pulled back a little bit. When we first got on here, we were unchanged. SPY now down just a tad, but I'd really be looking at this 680 level. If we can hold above that, perhaps we have a chance to bounce here, but we'll see. If we go back to the daily, you can see that the range that we're in very, very clearly marked. The 100-day moving average is at 680.5, and the 20-day moving average is stacked right on top of the 50-day. Those are at 688.25 and 687.25, respectively. And the market is basically just staying in that range. So again, the longer we compress here, the higher the probability that we break out or break down from this level. And I'm sure that's what we're all waiting for. What is, in fact, the next move going to be, and how do we trade that? Now, let's take a look at some insights from analysts here. George Smith and the LPL research team anticipate a period where starting points matter and valuations serve as a primary guide for long-term performance. So, okay, we're starting to get a case for those to make a case, or we're starting to get a case made, for those that think value and fundamentals might be making a return. And I'll say, at least for us, that would be fabulous if that ends up panning out. We shall see. According to the 2026 Strategic Asset Allocation, or the SAA, there is an expectation that current stock valuations are fair, but offer, quote, limited compensation, end quote, for the equity risk premium. Because high price to earnings ratios historically precede weaker long-term performance, the outlook emphasizes patience over prediction rather than aggressive growth. So this ties back to the main theme that we have been talking about here. We've said it a number of times, especially on the down days. Get your shopping list ready. Find those companies that are good companies, quality balance sheets, companies that you understand, and get ready to add those when it looks really bad out there, when perhaps those multiples come back in or those valuations come back in. Get them at a discount. That should help you long term. Economically, the strategy prepares for a range of outcomes by recognizing less stable stock-bound correlations and structural forces influencing inflation. Rather than chasing short-term narratives, Smith's framework is intentionally insulated from daily headlines, focusing instead on valuations, cash flow, durability, and cross-asset relationships over a 3 to 5 year time horizon. So this is going to be definitely a little bit one of the more passive, one of the more patient trading strategies that you would need to practice here. To manage this environment, the SAA maintains a modest underweight to total equity risk, favoring high-quality core taxable bonds and diversifiers like real assets to ensure portfolios remain resilient. Ultimately, the goal is to achieve steady compounding by balancing risk across shifting macro conditions. One of the ways we've tried to help you that is by bringing Tim Melvin on here and talking about stocks that are good value and also pay you to hold them. That is, you're able to hit both sides of this. Really quickly, a reminder on what we're expecting here in terms of economic numbers. December's S&P Case-Shiller Home Price Index will be released at 9 a.m. Just kind of on that note, we also had mortgage interest rates drop below 6% for the first time in what feels like forever. So we'll see if that has any impact on housing, which is something I know we're all kind of waiting on as well. Anyway, that will be followed by December's wholesale inventories and Friday's consumer confidence data. That comes at 10. We've got a lot of Fed heads today. Chicago Fed President Austin Goolsbee, he's on right now, actually. Atlanta Fed President Raphael Bostic is on at 9, and Christopher Waller at 9:15. Lisa Cook will also be up at 9:30. So I think from now till about 9:30 Eastern, you're going to have a bunch of Fed talk there. Okay, big story from overnight. There were a couple. The first one was on AMD. And actually, let me just go to that because I actually don't have a story since that just broke this morning. There's no story written from that, but we can take a look at the knee-jerk reaction first. It's easily one of the biggest pieces of news out there. AMD is holding higher here by about 9.3%. And on the daily chart, you can see why that's important. We basically traded right up to the resistance area, about 218.5 or thereabouts. And that is where the 50-day moving average and the 20-day moving average are about to meet. That 20 days at 217.87 and the 50 days at 219.18. It does look like we kind of came up off a support level here in AMD. This is interesting because we are actually in this gap. I know a lot of us, myself included, we're talking about this gap perhaps filling down to 171. That would have actually set up a pretty good scenario where a quick recapture of the 200-day, which is at 185, would actually be a really bullish turn of events. Now, today, we'll see if we didn't even need to close that gap or not close it yet. We're trading up here. The news is AMD to power Meta AI expansion with up to 6 gigawatts of Instinct GPUs under a multi-year agreement that's supporting the global AI build-out. So that's what your news is here today. Again, as we were saying, this is what the stock did. Literally ran to 226. It's come back in a little bit. Let's see where AMD ends up settling today. Better still, can we actually get closes above these two moving averages? Again, 217, almost 218, and then 219. That 218 to 219 will be incredibly important. And as Billy is reminding you, if you're looking for just quick juice here, one of the other things that you might be able to do is trade AMDL. This is the Granite Shares 2X long AMD ETF. So you should be able to get even more gains by trading the levered product. Now, let's go back to the other big story here. This also has to do with AI. The U.S. claims that China's DeepSeek used banned NVIDIA Blackwell chips. Now, I don't think anyone doubted this, but now we're getting confirmation of that. U.S.-China AI tensions intensified after a senior Trump administration official said on Wednesday that they believe the Chinese startup DeepSeek used NVIDIA's chips to train its upcoming model, raising fresh export control concerns. A senior Trump administration official said the U.S. officials believe the Chinese AI startup DeepSeek trained the next AI model, which could launch by next week on NVIDIA's most advanced AI chips, the Blackwell, potentially in violation of the U.S. export controls. The official said the U.S. expects DeepSeek to strip out technical indicators that could reveal the use of American AI chips and believes that the Blackwell chips are likely clustered at DeepSeek's data center in Inner Mongolia. That came from a Reuters report yesterday. Benzinga has contacted NVIDIA Investor Relations and is awaiting a response. on that. The report adds pressure to an already divisive debate in Washington over where to draw the line on China's access to top-tier U.S. AI chips. We've talked about that quite a bit here. The Commerce Department export controls currently bar Blackwell chips to China. Trump previously signaled openness to NVIDIA selling a scaled-down Blackwell in China in August, but later reversed course, arguing that the most advanced chips should stay with the U.S. companies. Trump administration official also said DeepSeek's training process likely relied on distillation from leading U.S. AI models, including Anthropic, Alphabet, Google, OpenAI, and xAI. The scrutiny underscores Beijing's broader push to reduce reliance on U.S. technology. Alibaba Group Holdings, ticker BABA, recently introduced a high-end AI chip through its T-Head unit as part of China's domestic semiconductor strategy. At the same time, Chinese technology firms placed sizable orders for NVIDIA's H200 GPUs. Those are the scaled-down ones. The surge in demand prompted NVIDIA to urge Taiwan Semiconductor, ticker TSM, to increase output. With Chinese demand exceeding available supply, NVIDIA raised production plans for the second quarter of 2026. Now, despite export uncertainty, NVIDIA continues to benefit from robust global AI demand. The company has disclosed a backlog exceeding $500 billion as hyperscalers invest heavily in AI infrastructure. JP Morgan analyst Harlan Sur said U.S. export approvals could unlock billions in additional revenue for NVIDIA, making China a significant potential upside catalyst for the stock. Chinese consumers continue to show a strong appetite for AI compute, and any easing in export approvals could immediately convert to that demand into revenue. So we'll see again how all of this shakes out. I know, we keep looking at NVIDIA here, and a lot of the AI chips. NVIDIA has really done nothing since last year, just really kind of stayed in a range. And I'm sure that there are a lot of folks waiting on that to either break higher or break lower. Okay, now we talked a little bit about the Citrini report. ARK Invest CEO Cathie Wood is doubling down on her conviction that AI will revolutionize the service economy, sparking a heated debate with researchers who warn of looming systemic collapse. On Monday, Wood's ARK Invest executed a series of high-conviction trades, most notably purchasing 33,078 shares of DoorDash, that's ticker DASH, which is valued at approximately $5.4 million. Now, real quickly here, DoorDash, this reported earnings on February 18th, so we are just past the earnings. It ended up trading down, but it is near a support level, FYI. Let me go ahead and put this back up here. On Monday, the move comes as Wood labels AI, quote, the most disruptive innovation in history, end quote, arguing that companies harnessing the technology aggressively will, quote, lower their cost, drop prices, and stimulate surprising growth in revenue and earnings, end quote. So AI doing a lot of lifting here, doing a lot of work for some of that. Let me know if you folks think that that's going to happen. Buffalo by Bicycles not buying it, said, I wouldn't buy Cathie Wood, and intentionally spelled her name wrong. Yikes. The ghost GDP warning. This is what we talked about. The purchase has drawn a sharp rebuke from Citrini Research, whose viral 2028 Global Intelligence Crisis Substack post. And actually, I know we talked about this yesterday. I messed up and thought Jay was talking about Citron. For anyone that wants the actual post here, I'll go ahead and link that here in the chat. And then if you want any other of the supporting links from this story, I don't think this one's going away anytime soon. Here's a link to the story as well. The Substack post paints a far bleaker picture. Citrini argues that AI agents will eventually dismantle habitual intermediation, the very foundation of DoorDash's business model. In a world where autonomous agents optimize for the lowest possible price, Citrini warns that ghost GDP output that appears in national accounts but fails to circulate through the human economy. For DoorDash, Citrini argues that the moat was literally, you're hungry, you're lazy, an agent doesn't have a home screen, it checks 20 vibe-coded alternatives so it can pick the lowest fee. Rather amusing, if you ask me. Now, ARC hit back. ARC Director of Research Nick Gruss dismissed Citrini's DoorDash critique as, quote, a silly one in an otherwise extremely great piece, end quote. He countered that humans will not relinquish their food choices to random meals just to save 37 cents. Now, just reading this, I am in complete agreement here with Nick. There is no way that I am going to change around if I'm spending more money on food, especially spending on more money having it delivered, a 37-cent savings so that I choose a taco instead of a burger, no chance. No chance that's happening. Completely agree with this assessment. He goes on to say, quote, if agents optimize across marketplaces, scale is not a disadvantage, it's an advantage, end quote. He cites ARC's latest research on agent-oriented optimization, or AOO. I hope you're keeping track of all of these acronyms, because there's going to be a test on this at some point. I'm going to fail that. Lol. He contends that scaled platforms like DoorDash are best positioned to offer the density and logistics speed that AI agents will prioritize. As the intelligence displacement spiral looms in the distance, Wood's $5.4 million bet signals she believes in the incumbents won't just survive the age of agents, they will own it. And this is something that we've been talking about. You know, AI, it's definitely going to disrupt. I think it's fair to say that it's already disrupting. Take a look at what happened to IBM yesterday. IBM got absolutely destroyed because of a new Claude deployment. But I think that in the long term, a lot of this is going to be overhyped. And in fact, we're going to cover that a little bit here in the Street Tweet segment. I got a really good one from Kobisi Letter today. So I'll actually just pause on that. We'll get to that here in a little bit. Another update here in the everlasting saga that is Warner Brothers Discovery, Paramount, Skydance, and Netflix. Paramount Skydance has reportedly increased its bid for Warner Brothers Discovery, intensifying the competition for one of the most coveted assets in Hollywood. Paramount has submitted a higher bid than its initial $108.4 billion or $30 per share offer for Warner Brothers, aiming to ease concerns over the certainty of its financing, and that was reported by Reuters on Monday. However, the publication did not mention more details about the revised bid. Warner Brothers had earlier mentioned that Paramount had unofficially submitted a bid for $31 per share. Is that what it is? We'll have to wait for the confirmation. A late Monday report from Variety suggests Warner Brothers is likely to consider the Paramount offer while still recommending Netflix agreement to its shareholders. Paramount and Warner Brothers did not immediately respond to our comments, but as I've been doing, we will continue to update you on that. Earlier this month, Warner Brothers Discovery rejected Paramount Skydance's previous hostile takeover bid, giving the company until February 23rd to submit its best and final offer. That's yesterday. This could be matched by Netflix as per the terms of the agreement. Despite the intense competition, analyst Gary Black predicted Netflix would emerge as the victor in the contest. He also suggested that even if Paramount succeeds in securing the deal, Netflix shares could rebound to hit the $100 mark, a level last seen on December 5th. Reports last week also suggested that the company has plenty of cash available to raise its bid for Warner Brothers. Meanwhile, renowned director James Cameron voiced his concern about Netflix's proposed purchase, of Warner Brothers Discovery's film studio, warning that it could severely damage the theatrical film business. He likened the potential fallout for cinemas to a sinking ship. Let me ask you, are cinemas kind of already a sinking ship? How much does that matter? I'm curious on that. Here's another possible AI play. Didn't have this on my bingo card. Jamie Dimon predicts JP Morgan will be a winner in the AI race and boosts the 2026 tech spend to nearly $20 billion. And actually, this is something I wanted to ask Tim Melvin about, because Tim Melvin has been on the fact that it is actually phase 2 of the AI build-out, and instead it's the picks and shovels. I'll see from him if this counts. Anyway, CEO Jamie Dimon reassured investors that the bank is planning to use AI technology to its advantage. Quote, in my view, we'll be a winner, end quote. Okay, good. He said during the annual Investors Day event on Monday, highlighting that the bank's strategy to utilize technology to enhance customer service. Despite acknowledging the emergence of fintech competitors like Chrome, Revolut, PayPal, PayPal, as we call it around here, and Stripe, Diamond expressed confidence in JP Morgan's competitive edge. Marianne Lake, the head of JP Morgan's consumer unit, pointed out that many competitors are now emulating JP Morgan's strategies. The CEO also warned about rising popularity of stablecoins, which would potentially disrupt traditional banking roles. Diamond, who had been leading the bank for 20 years, stated his intention to continue as CEO for a few more years without providing further details. CEO also stated that the bank is well positioned to weather the changes in the economy or at the Federal Reserve. Whatever it is, we'll deal with it. We've created safer systems, end quote. The CFO of the largest U.S. bank, Jeremy Barnum, announced the bank's plans to boost its tech spending by $2 billion, taking it to $19.8 billion this year in response to the increased competition. Previous reports indicated that Diamond was set to defend JP Morgan's $2 billion weekly spending at the event, arguing that the bank's heavy investment is essential to sustaining long-term growth. The bank reiterated its guidance for annual adjusted expenses of $105 billion, but Troy Rohrbaugh, co-head of the firm's commercial and investment bank, said market revenue in the first quarter could increase by mid-teens percentage compared with a year earlier. The company also expects retail deposit growth to resume in 2026 amid customer growth and reduction in yield-seeking behavior. On Monday, JP Morgan On Monday, JP Morgan shares fell 4.22% and closed at $297.67 as investors offloaded financials amid a broad sell-off tied to growing concerns over private credit and AI credit risks. The XLF also dropped 3.35%, with big banks and asset managers leading the declines after the Citrini Research released a widely circulated report on Sunday outlining how AI could reshape the economy, including everyday payments. JP Morgan here has a 48th percentile momentum ranking and a 21st percentile quality ranking. All right, next here, talk about Google. Tongue Twister Tuesday. No kidding, Tom. I didn't even realize it when I was picking out these news stories, but here we go. We're going to roll with it, though. That's how we do here. Next story is going to be about Google. And we've been talking about Google quite a bit. We actually just recently talked about a potential Head and Shoulders. And now that I look at this, I probably want to tighten this up a little bit. A potential Head and Shoulders. It's a little bit more visible on the weekly, and we still need to fill out this right shoulder. So we'll see if that ends up happening here. But this is where our chart looks like on Google. It's been a massive, massive winner, easily one of the best in that theme. Let's take a look at the stock here. Is Google's stock bull run over? Well, Charles Moon is betting against Alphabet this March and expects a decline of about 4%. Despite a recent wave of analyst optimism and price target hikes for Alphabet, or Google, ticker GOOG and GOOGL, Charles Moon, a stock strategist at Prosper Trading Academy, is sounding a bearish alarm, suggesting the stock's historic run-up is hitting a wall of resistance. While an institution like Wells Fargo have recently upgraded Alphabet with targets as high as 387, Moon is taking a decidedly short-term contrarian approach. On Morning Trade Live by Schwab Network, Moon noted that the current market environment has shifted from its traditional buy-the-dip mentality. This is something that we've been talking about quite a bit. Quote, "I'm looking at Google as a fade right now," end quote. He goes on to say, emphasizing that the technical barriers are now more significant than the historical floors. In this environment, resistance is going to play a lot more prominent role than support will, end quote. Moon's bearish thesis centers on a technical reversion, with Alphabet trading at $311.69 as of Monday's close. He views the $320 level as a critical ceiling that the stock is unlikely to breach in the immediate future. If the stock fails to hold its current levels, Moon anticipates a slide towards the psychological floor of $300. That's a 3.75% drop from the current prices. And to capitalize on this expected fade, Moon highlights a specific short-dated option strategy. I'm looking at a short-dated option of March 2nd. I'm looking at the 315 puts. He suggests an entry point of 525 or lower for that contract, with the initial profit-taking target of about 50%. So for those of you that believe this, he's given you a trade idea right here. The strategist's caution isn't limited to Alphabet's charts alone. He cited a macro negative outlook on tech fueled by high capital expenditures and geopolitical uncertainty, two factors we have been talking about ad nauseum around here. The VIX remaining at 2101 and the markets reacting sharply to news out of Iran and tariff uncertainties, Moon believes the, quote, cloud hanging over the markets, end quote, favors the bears. And indeed, maybe that's what's keeping us from breaking out or breaking higher here. Sorry, lost my place there. He warned that if Alphabet rolls over underneath 310 in the near term, they could start breaking down to 300, following the path of other tech giants that have recently seen their post-earnings gains erased. So let me know, is Google a short? Do you guys think Google is a short up here? I would like to wait for a little bit more confirmation. I mean, I think really as long as it holds the neckline, you're probably not out of the woods. Or as long as you hold the neckline, you're probably in all right shape. If this starts to fill out the right shoulder, though, we might be in trouble. We might be in trouble. All right, folks, I promised you it's a Tuesday, which means it's a T3 Tuesday. Let's go ahead and bring on our guest here today. Got a special surprise for you. Red Dog, good morning. Happy Tuesday. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
And I am doing really good. I don't know if you caught it. I know basketball is your sport, but I don't know if you caught the hockey game on Sunday. That was...
Oh, of course. Yeah, and I know you're a hockey guy. That was great. I think the whole world caught it, so it was good to see. Good to see. A little, feel goodness always helps,
No question. And indeed, it is good to see you here again as well. Get 5 days of Scott Redler's Power Plays live, real time, and totally free. QR codes on the screen. Producer will throw the link in the chat here. All right, Scott, there's a lot going on, so I'm hoping you can help walk us through this. What do you have for us? And then I have some specific questions on stocks for you.
What do I have for us? I just did the morning call for the Alpha team, and we don't have that many power plays on right now because there's not a lot of power plays out there. We try and be very selective, because it just isn't a lot of upside follow through. You have range trades, you have monotonous trades, you have sectors breaking down. There's only a few names out there that actually have been having traction. So it's been very difficult, to be quite honest. I'm not going to sugarcoat it like most people on TV or on Twitter and how they're making gazillions. It's been hard. If you're not losing and you're just biding your time, you're probably doing pretty well. A lot of people are scratching their heads. Like you look here, SPYs right now are not even 3% off highs. And then you have, IGV making lower lows.
Mm-hmm.
You have Microsoft making lower lows. You have IBM getting clobbered. You had Morgan Stanley and JP Morgan testing the 200 days. So there's this disconnect that I know from my experience has made it tricky to sink my teeth into things. So I'm just trying to play ranges, be tactical, make some money, keep safe and sane, right? If you can stay safe and sane during this market time period, you'll be able to, be really profitable when things actually start to get a little easier and make a little bit more sense to me and have a little bit more follow through.
I like that. I think I might borrow your safe and sane line there and reuse that myself. I like that quite a bit. You're talking here about, we're looking at the SPY. The SPY actually looks okay, but as you alluded to, if you look at some specific names, they almost look like they're in bear markets, most notably some of those software names. So how do you play this then? I know you're kind of talking about waiting. Do you play individual names? Do you look for levels that make sense? Here's IGV. This is one we've been trading a lot recently.
Yeah, well, I always like to post a chart just so people can look back and be like, what could they have seen and how could they have done it better? And if you look, you'll see that every technical, narrative that we use, could have helped any trader or any market participant stay out of the way here, right? Because this is when the upper channel broke to the downside right there around 113, maybe, and it did a double top at 117, right? So that was one spot. You didn't get out there, okay. Then it bounced back to where it broke down from, got rejected. And then on this wedge, it wound up breaking to the downside around 104. Here it's now below the 8-day. Here it's below the 21-day. Here it's below the 200-day. So 104, if you didn't get out earlier because you wanted some kind of confirmation on the macro sense, if you're a swing trader, that was your out. And then what happened? It's been below the 8-day since, rejected every single time, even into that capitulation. This felt like capitulation. It did. I bought options. It was a power play. We bought options, and made some decent money. You had to move back to the 8-day, but what was it? It was rejected again. So I think we made really good money on that, and then got kind of washed out of the next, because when this happened, I'm like, it shouldn't have done that. Then it hovered here and then broke that pivot and, gave you a bear flag look to the downside. So if you look back, you're like, wow, could have made a gazillion short, or at least not like lost too much long. And then you look at Microsoft, same thing, double top here at 255, 250, I'm sorry, 555, 553. Then it came in fast, then got rejected at the 50-day, broke support, came back, got rejected because that support turned into resistance. Then you had a gap down after earnings that didn't get filled. So wound up breaking that post-earnings gap pivot here. And then you had 392, as support, rallied just like the IGV, because they go as a group, rejected at the 8-day, and then now this is where we are. So how hard was that? I'm just, if you trade it from a bearish stance and you're a good short, I'm not a good short, you could have made a ton of money. If you like to be long like me, maybe you tried it 3 times and lost a little versus just accumulating it because it's Microsoft.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened to me as well. I'm also trying to go long on these. It's been much more difficult to do that. Okay, I have a couple of questions here. I want to start with Dash for you today. We just had earnings. Dash actually looks like it's at a support level. We had some news here this morning, so I'm just wondering how are you trading Dash here?
Like, this is a great example, kind of like a Microsoft. Dash about a year ago was one of our favorite names. I showed you a bunch of times with the weekly chart. Look how different this was when it had this cup and handle. 144 was the big spot. Get above 144, we could see 225 to 257 or higher. So it went above it and did a false breakout up here. And I really feel like I stopped trading it after that double top. I tried it like twice, lost a little peanuts. Like here, again, just like Microsoft, you had your 2x top, made a lower high, broke 250 out of the way, gave you a decent bounce, back up to here where it filled that gap. And then if you were trying to play, I think we were long it in here. I got stopped out around 218, and then I haven't even looked at it really or played it since. And now what? Okay, the low here is 158. You could say that this is pretty big support going sideways, right? You take a look at the chart; it's 155. Like, yeah, longer term, if you're not, if you have the wherewithal to be in it now, it's because it's going to be a whole big rebuild process. Maybe who knows? Maybe this is a small double bottom, but ultimately it's a totally different trade now. Now it needs time to rebuild, show commitment, start an active sequence. If you're an investor and you just want to put it in the draw, maybe here is a decent spot, and it could just redevelop and rebuild and act better over time.
Yeah, and we got a chatter here. Brian saying it had an insane rip from that last winter storm. I don't know if that winter storm affected you at all. I was wondering about that myself. So good point here. It's trading totally different. Looks like we need a change of character. Maybe we get one here if it holds this 155.
Or you could be long. The low here is 158. So be long 158 if you trade for a living, thinking this is a double bottom, and maybe it is. As an investor, it's also been discounted a whole hell of a lot. I don't think DoorDash is over,
Me either. Yeah.
Just, again, we'll see what happens with, with robo taxis and that kind of, I don't know. Right now, it changed. I try not to act so smart. Like I know why it did. All I know is that technically it became a sell and didn't pay you to be in it. So I don't like to be in things that don't pay me to be in it.
Okay. Awesome. What about Tesla? It's one we've been kind of watching back and forth here. Do you see any edge for yourself on Tesla?
Well, you had the bounce off the 200-day, which was a decent one. Gave you a bounce right back into the downtrend line, and then it broke down and tested the 200-day again, which was yesterday at 394. This is it's very tricky. I would think it's going to be, if it's how many times can you hold an area? Right now it has held it. It's only down $1. Okay, today maybe it goes red to green and there's a trade there. But if you're in this and you're active, and this happens to break below, this 394 and stays below it and loses the 200-day for the first time in a long time, it can go lower. I think people are having a hard time with the narrative on Tesla. They're doing less cars. They're selling less vehicles versus everybody else everywhere around the world now. Yes, can they be a robo taxi company, robotics, stuff space wise? But that's going to take a lot of time and a lot of readjusting. So anyway, so when I use tech, like I got stopped out of actually. I tried a little Tesla on Friday, TSLL, and I got stopped
Mhm.
out yesterday. I might revisit it just for a trade versus 394, but
Okay.
it's a lot less compelling than it's been for a long time.
Okay, indeed. And there's a lot of back and forth. We cover that all the time. Good stuff, though. We'll see if it can hold up on the 200 day. Let me ask you about Palantir, if that's all right. A
Yeah.
Palantir and Amazon, I think, two of the other specific names I have on deck for you here.
Palantir changed also. He
Okay.
went from special to sell on rallies. First time they did it was here, right? After it looked great, awesome earnings, and they sold it down. And then,
Yep.
you made your low, and then here made a lower high. You had your wedge right there. And then really, actually, this was your first step to sell it when it had an upper bull flag to look good. And then that trade changed. That was step number one. Then right here, I remember looking at it, it was really tight. Can it go? And boom, broke all the moving averages, and since then it's been a sell on strength. And then after that earnings, it was sold right into where it broke down from a 165. So here, if I was looking at it fresh, which I am, I always look at
Okay.
things fresh, you could try it versus 126. But just like IGV, if you tried it versus 79,
There you
you
go.
had to get out. Or just like Microsoft, if you tried it versus 392, you had to get out. If you're trying Palantir versus 126.23, doesn't hold it,
Yep.
120 and 116 or 98 is on deck. So, I would just remain when things aren't special, they are tactical. And that's the way you got to do it. Unless you have a full thesis that no one else sees and you're in it for 3 years from now, which you'll probably have better prices anyway when the technicals line up.
Sometimes those theses can come back to bite you too. All right. Last one that I had here for you was Amazon.
Amazon is trying. I made a little bit of money there. It's been a horrible stock, to be honest. Probably one of my biggest losers last year, P&L wise. I did catch a nice trade when it did a red dog reversal
Mhm.
here at 197. If everyone's like, what's a red dog reversal? Well, here it gapped down post earnings, so never filled it.
Mhm.
Tried and then failed. Here, so it went below 197.28, reclaimed it. Nice candle. That day it showed relative strength. So I'm like, I
Mhm.
could try it. I sold a portion, held it, sold another portion, had a third left, and then yesterday got stopped out just because it gave back more than I wanted. We also had that as a decent power play too, where we bought it really well, sold 2/3, last third was a wash. Now can it hold 203? Maybe. You know what, this as a new trade, you have this lower level down here. Can it hold 203? Can it make an inverted head and shoulders pattern
Mhm.
and then maybe try and fill that gap in a better market? Right now, what's Amazon doing right now? Amazon is up 48 cents. Maybe it wants to go sideways here and then take out this high and get into that gap. So in order for that to happen, you could be long versus 203.11. That's how I would frame that trade.
Okay.
And I
I
might even
love it.
I might even do it.
I was going to say, I love it. I've been looking for that gap. This is a really clear play for that. Appreciate that. Folks, get 5 days of Scott Redler's Power Plays live, real time, and totally free. Scan that QR code. All right, Scott, I know you're a chart guy. I know you like to look at the charts here. We got the State of the Union here tonight. Do you think that there's any sector or individual name that might be on deck from what we hear tonight?
Not really, to
Okay,
be
I've
honest.
got one for you.
All right, let
I
me hear.
think you might get a surprise here, and you might get some defense movement, either the sector, either the entire sector, or some individual names. So we'll see if I'm right about that.
Well, let me ask you a question. What kind
Yeah.
of surprise is that? Look at Lockheed Martin. People know it's strong. Like what
Well,
name?
okay.
What's the play then?
So when I say surprise, I mean we kind of think that we're going to hear about border security. We're probably going to hear about affordability. I don't know how many people are thinking that we're going to hear about defense. And my thesis here is that we do hear about that. Some of the things that we hear about that actually cause this to continue running. To your point on Lockheed Martin, this has already moved here. And I guess I'm just kind of wondering if there's some more room on something like this.
Well, it's above the 8 day. It's moving higher. You go to the daily, go to the weekly. Wow, look at that one. As I said, it's not a secret. This is on the weekly chart. What are some other names? Like, so are you long? What are you long?
No,
into
so
that
I'm
if-
looking at my two big plays here would be DFEN in the short term. That's the leveraged ETF to the upside. And then ITA a little bit more long term. That's just 1X.
Okay. They look like a little bit more not as
And
stretched.
this is DFEN that you have up, right? No,
This
this
is
is ITA.
ITA.
So you're looking at maybe a possible double top there. I'm thinking if you break from that, maybe we go on a little bit of a run there. So again, I'm just speculating, but I'm just trying to get some ideas generated here.
I hear you. You're allowed to speculate. That's what we do, right? Calculated risk.
Right.
Otherwise, you're sitting on your hands and you're not paying your bills. But yeah, this looks like, again, this looks like a little push through failure. So if it's not, and he does come out and talks defense or whatever, this is the daily chart. It doesn't look so. It looks good. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know it. I don't trade it, but yeah, it's acting a lot better than Meta.
Okay, fair enough.
Which I think should be on the radar today, just to see, like, Meta was up for 4 on the news and then down $1 on the news. So how they treat AMD and Meta is going to be interesting for tech in general, because the street is not rewarding spending, and they just said they're going to spend 100 billion over the next whatever. So it was down 5. If it holds 638 or 628, it's not a headwind. It's a nothing. But if it were to all of a sudden break that area, people will be like, wow, market really doesn't like spending anymore. So that's something you have to recognize. So when someone else spends, you're like, oh, that's good news. It's not good news. So we'll see.
Okay. Red Dog, really, really good stuff. As always, appreciate it. Folks, get 5 days of Scott Redler's Power Plays live, real time, and totally free. Red Dog, it's good to see you again.
Yeah. Be well.
We'll catch up with you next time. Be well. All right, that is Scott Redler from T3. They're absolutely awesome. And Zach, we can't figure it out, right? We can't figure it out. The video's lagging. The audio's okay. Does it look okay now? Looks like it's fixed. We can't figure out exactly why that's happening. I'm not too sure. We are looking into it, but man, I'll tell you what, sometimes these technical gremlins, they make themselves hard to pin down. But we'll keep fighting through it. No problem at all. All right, let's see. How much time do we have? Got 8 minutes until 13 rolls out of bed. Actually, I think he's already out of bed because he looks like he's posting in our chat. So he is likely preparing to bring you the goods. And 13, actually, I didn't mention this to him, but this is a really good point. There could be Golden Dome talk that puts some of the smaller names back up. That would affect some of the drone names, which I'm already positioned for. But this is another kind of good add-on to one of the things that we were just talking about. Good stuff there, 13. Okay, let's go ahead and do our real quick street tweets segment. I'll tell you what, the Tongue Twister Tuesday is a thing today, folks. So I apologize. I will try and tighten this up. Let's go ahead and do street tweets. All right, this is one of the big discussions that seemingly happens every single day. I understand that the screenshot might be a tad difficult for those of you to see out in viewer land, so I'll drop the actual tweet in the chat for you. This comes by way of the Kobisi letter. The bull case for AI revolution is abundance. The AI will end the world narrative has gone viral and quickly become the base case assumption. And we've talked about this a lot here. However, if you look back at any time in history, innovation has largely yielded a net positive long-term outcome for humanity. Innovation kills tasks, not people. I think that's probably the most important line from this entire tweet. In the bull case, humans work differently, productivity rises, costs fall, and scarcity declines. As a result, the world can see less conflict over currently scarce resources, lower poverty rates, and improved living conditions. A world full of abundance, peace, and efficiency is possible. Humanity has always prevailed. Now, we talk a lot about positivity here on this show. This I think is well thought out, long-term view on exactly what we're seeing right now. I think they hit the nail right on the head with this one. Innovation kills tasks, not people. I absolutely love it. And I would expect that this is exactly what we're going to see over the long term. We are going to see things that actually make life better. And sure, will it change some jobs? Yes, it will also create new ones. And those that stay on that curve are likely to benefit from this. So Kobisi Letter doing really good work. Really, really liked this tweet. All right, folks, let's go ahead. Producer, help me out. I need to get back to the main layout here. I normally play a bumper for 13. He's not available yet, so we'll go back to the charts here. I would say I'm done with the news here for today, so we'll save the movers for where 13 comes in. Let's take a look at AMD. Let's see if we got anything updated on that. I know when we finished with Red Dog here, we actually had a look at Meta. Let's see where AMD has come into. We had talked earlier when we first got on here about wanting to break the 218 and 219 area. We're currently at 216.75, so it does look like we've come in a little bit here. We're under the VWAP. So first things first. For a potential trade here, a VWAP reclaim, maybe a move back up towards that 226, 227-ish high. We'll see here on AMD. Also, one more thing I wanted to take a look at here real quick. On AMD, indeed, we have a fair value gap here. This is on a 5-minute. I was actually taking a look here on this one. So let me draw out the gap. We'll see if we hold this here. This is what I have in my broker. We have this up to this candle. This candle right here. So it looks like we are in that gap. I have no position on this. I definitely want to see how the volume treats this when the market opens. We'll see if we get a trade here on AMD. Let me know if you folks are locked in with AMD or if you're looking to trade this. Okay. Day Trader says, but it is what we have been doing my entire career, figuring out how to do things more efficiently. Did I miss a first tweet there? That sounds about right. Yassine says, can we take a look at Fang? Ask nicely like that, Yassine. And absolutely we can, buddy. Absolutely. Here's Fang. This is Diamondback Energy. This is going to be in our energy theme. And this for a while in 2025 basically just moved sideways. We do look like we finally have both a break-in structure and a change in character here. So you'll see that let me actually highlight this. I'll do this here like this. This structure in here, which basically lasted from March of 2025 until February of 2026, almost a full year, sure looks like we're breaking out of that. This chart looks a lot more bullish than it does choppy. So I would say, Yassine, you're probably looking all right here. Next levels that I'd be looking at, I definitely want to take a look at these previous ones. Some of them are better than others. This 186.5, for example, this looks like this is going to, in fact, let me actually mark this off in the chart, because if we come back to Fang, I don't want to have to redo this. This 180, let's see, what do we have here? Maybe I'll call that 185. Yeah, we'll just call it 185, 185.5. This to me looks to be one of the next significant resistance areas. This was a resistance area back in 2024 that then acted as support multiple times before turning back into resistance and then support again. Now it is currently resistance. So I would say if Fang can get up here to 185, I don't know if you're trading this already or you already have a position or whatever the case is. But I would say this is definitely going to be a resistance area here on the daily. If everything goes well, perhaps we move through that. I would think then probably the round 200 number. Right? So I would think, let's call it 185 to 186 and then 200 as the next level higher. All right. And then James here mentioning IBM is starting to step up. All right. Let's take a look at IBM because there's a couple of things that I want to go over here. First of all, let's see if we get a bounce play here today. I would agree with you that this is definitely worth keeping on your radar for a potential move back here today. The move lower was ferocious, and it happened fast. And by the way, while we're talking about it here, these fair value gaps also exist to the downside. So we had one here to short. This is still unmitigated. So maybe we'll extend it today and see if that provides a resistance area for IBM. I'm not too sure how I feel about that. I'm not looking to necessarily trade that myself. But nonetheless, put this on your list. Maybe this bounces back here today. The one thing to keep in mind on IBM, and I've shared this a number of times, this comes directly from our happy hour chat. IBM has an extremely consistent long-term pattern where we have, and I'm on a monthly chart here, you can see that we have a very, very steep increase from like 1998 to 1999, and then we have a prolonged down move from 1999 to 2008. And we have a sharp up move from 2008 to 2013 and another prolonged down move. I say all of that because right up here, it looks like we might be starting the next leg here for IBM. And this would be a long-term, multi-year downward path. I don't know if this is going to happen. AI definitely potentially throws a monkey wrench in, potentially. Come on, Ryan, get it together. I think AI could throw a monkey wrench into this pattern. In other words, I think that this pattern could be disrupted by AI, but definitely something that I'm taking a look at. Now, if we zoom in a little bit more, you'll notice that the monthly bar here is crazy. And it is crazy because February has been terrible for this stock. Now, 13 pointed this out yesterday on the happy hour. February ends this week. So Friday is the last day of February. This monthly candle is going to close. We should know where that closes here pretty soon. Even a bounce back here, even up to like 257, 260. I still think that we might be on pace for this next extended down move on IBM, but we shall see. All right, folks, it's time. It is that time. It's going to be time for pre-market pulse. Let's go ahead and do it and bring on 13. All right, 13. The last time I had a guest here, my camera was lagging. You are, I guess, technically a guest, and it looks fine. So you're the good luck guest. I don't know what's going on. I'm trying to figure this out. Me and my producer cannot solve the problem, but everything looks like it's okay here. So let me see if it's something that I
13,
do.
I guess.
Lucky
good morning.
Is it lagging, producer? And now watch this.
Starting to lag,
now is it not lag? Oh, did we just figure it out? When I maximize the browser window to a full 4K size, it seems to lag my video.
Oh, okay.
So I just won't do that then.
You need a better video card.
It hurts when I do this. Well, then don't do it. I mean, for heaven's sake. Okay, I need a better computer then. Now you're out here. Now you're out here throwing daggers around, taking pot shots, saying that I need to buy a new computer when RAM is the most expensive. It's literally
just
ever
a video
been.
card, not RAM. You just need a video card.
I don't know. Video cards are still expensive. All right, 13. Let's go ahead and bring up Pro. You want to nail the movers here first, and then we'll go and take tickers from the chat here.
Yeah, let's do it. IBM, by the way, I'm waiting for that to go lower. I'm interested in it, but I want it down between 175 206.
Okay, sweet. So let's actually, you know what? Since you just did that, let's just start there. You said 175 to what?
To 206. You have to look a little bit more to the left to see where I'm really interested in. But there's consolidation back from let's see, from January of 2020. Well, I'm sorry, no, I need to go back further. There's consolidation back from August of 2012, pretty much that entire year, 2012, where we it's the last
right
time
in here. I see it.
Yeah, so down in that area is where I like the price. So I'm looking at between 175 to 206. That's my buy zone if we get down there.
Okay. All right, really good. I love how you just tied that together. It's like the room from The Big Lebowski. It really tied the room together. Good stuff there.
Eat on your fucking rug. Sorry.
So it's okay. Oh man, I just had like 7 other Big Lebowski quotes go through my head right there because you just did that. It is what it is. All right, let's start with the movers and let's start with the big mover here today. This is going to be VIR. This is VIR Biotechnology. We had a huge move. We were up, I think, like 60-something% earlier. Stock was in a 13 handle in the after hours yesterday. It actually got to a high 12 handle again here in the pre-market, but now this gives us a lower high, which means we now have a potential trend line target here. I also have a fair value gap here on this chart. it's wide, right? So as far as a trade goes here, I would definitely trade this a little bit differently. I would not put the stop all the way at the bottom end of this gap. That's just too much room here. It does look like maybe it's trying to hold right here. So we'll see if it is able to cross 10 and go higher on VIR. But this is what the chart looks like so far. News here. Yesterday, let me get this real quick. Astellas and VIR Biotechnology announced global strategic collaboration to advance PSMA targeting of one of its drugs for a dual masked T-cell engager for the treatment of prostate cancer. So you got that. We also got earnings here. The 31-cent loss beat the 41-cent loss estimate, and sales of 64.07 million smoked the estimate of 23 million. So we got good updated phase 1 data for one of its drugs here, as well as positive earnings. That's what's driving the stock higher here. If we take a look at the short interest, 14.3% of the float shorted with 6 days to cover. That is absolutely, I would absolutely consider that high. Even though we don't get above the 20% of float shorted, we're still near 15%. It still has 6 days to cover, and that 6 days to cover comes on an average of 2 million shares. We've done 7.5 million here today, so we have done considerably over the average, but still a little bit of a squeeze potential in here. Additionally, the float on this one, 85.52 million shares. 13, what are you thinking here on VIR?
News is pretty good. The clinical trial, that's, they're still in the very early stages of it. So they're going to probably end up having to raise more capital as this goes on. And they even indicate that they're planning to initiate their registrational trial, which is the one where they're going to be, the high stakes trial, which is they're going to be submitting to the FDA. That's not until 2027. So they're going to need to have more cash. And they only have about 3/4 worth of cash if you consider their current cash position and short-term investments. So they're going to have to raise capital to get into that 2027 timeframe. I don't know if that'll happen today. I don't think it's likely that they will, but later on this year, I'm thinking they're going to have to. As far as the chart goes, we are trying to recapture the 200 EMA after we have a bit of a trend line here on the bottom side. We got support from it, and we're trying to recapture the 200 EMA on the 5-minute. And if we do that, then the next target's going to be up towards VWAP, and there's going to be some resistance around 11, I believe, seeing as how that was previously supporting the as we opened pre-market here. So if you draw a trend line, I have a trend line on top and the bottom from the lows of the pre-market open to the low that we just put in recently. That's the trend line I'm referring to. It's kind of providing support right now. I don't know how great this one's going to trade. The 85 million share float's a little thick, but we should still be able to see some decent price action, but we really need to get above that 200 EMA on the 5-minute.
Okay. All right. Good stuff here on VIR. This one I think is definitely going to be in play here today. I don't know what it's going to do, but we're certainly going to watch it. Really good breakdown there, 13. All right, next here is LRMR. This is Larimar Therapeutics. So this actually spiked. Looks like it found some pretty significant resistance up there at 4. Actually, it looks like it tried to punch through 4 several times. Ended up creating some upside wicks on that. Larimar Therapeutics announces FDA breakthrough therapy designation for one of its drugs in FA and reiterates planned BLA submission in June of 2026. So I would probably have to this would be a quality press release to drop into your favorite AI tool and tell you what it means personally. 13, you are our resident AI tool, so I'm hoping that you can help us with that here really quick. Quick peek at the short interest, 16.1% of the float shorted with 6.26 days to cover. So once again, this is another one of those stocks that could be aided by its high short interest, particularly that days to cover. On average, the stock trades 1.19 million shares. It's done 27 million shares here today. Its float is 54.5 million. So 13, I didn't mean to put any extra pressure on you there. But what do you think here on LRMR?
Hey, I'm sure any chance you get to call me a tool, you're going to take it. But anyway.
Oh, I wasn't even thinking that. But that's hilarious. Just some guy says, I knew 13 was too good to be a human.
All right. Anyway.
What a tool.
Next one here, another biotech that's getting some well, not necessarily phase 1, but getting some breakthrough therapy designation. And they're still going to need, this is going to be an ongoing thing for them, having to do clinical trials. They're going to, eat cash and take some time. Their planned BLA submission, which is their biologics license application, that's not going to happen until, you pointed out, June 2026. And they're going to launch that study in the first half of 2027. So this is still a ways out. It's going to require a lot of cash. Fortunately, they do have a good amount of that, more than the last company, I believe. But they have at least 1 year's worth of cash. So next year, they may have to do some kind of capital raise. There's another one here that we also have some elevated short interest with 6 days to cover. As far as the chart goes, this one looking also a little bit better. The big resistance area that I see with this one is going to be VWAP. Since we lost VWAP earlier this morning, about, an hour ago or so, we've tried to recapture VWAP, haven't been able to. We're starting to turn around now after we got support from this 355 area. And if we can recapture VWAP, we'll probably end up trading a little bit better. We'll see. We need to see a breakthrough $4 if we recapture VWAP, because that's the next resistance area above VWAP.
Okay, and then as far as the fair value gaps here, we actually had two. There's a bigger one here at the bottom that is still unmitigated and not tested yet. We actually created another one with the last impulse move that we made. Stock price came into the bottom of that fair value gap, traded through the VWAP, gave it up very quickly, and now moved through it. So this gap at this point now totally invalidated, as the price has traveled in both directions through it. I'll leave it on there just so we can see what the stock did. Maybe this comes in to the next one lower here. Okay, good stuff there. LRMR. Next, we've got CLVT. This is Clairvat or Clairvati. I think we've traded this one before, but I can't place it. Conference call is ongoing right now. It reported earnings here this morning. Those earnings were an adjusted EPS of 20 cents. That beat the 17-cent estimate. And sales of 617 million beat the estimate of 604 million. So a good report there. Full year 26 adjusted EPS guide, 70 cents to 80 cents. That was versus 67-cent estimate. And they see sales coming in at 2.3 to 2.42 billion. That's versus the estimate there of 2.38 billion. So it looks like their sales guide in line with the overall estimate here. Also, they announced discussions regarding sale of its life sciences and healthcare business. It has retained Morgan Stanley as the financial advisor. It sees 2026 adjusted EBITDA growth within 200 bips, margin expansion, and free cash flow rising about 10% to nearly 400 million. So it actually looks like really good news here. Stocks holding higher by about 21.5%. 11.74% of the float is shorted here with 10 days to cover on this name. On average, it trades 619,000 shares. It's just barely at 900,000 right now. And it has a super thick float of about 430 million. So 13, do you have any thoughts here on CLVT?
I think this is probably the strongest company that we're looking at today. But that being said, the float is so large that I don't know that we're going to really get some outsized moves like we could from some of the other ones, even though their floats are pretty large too. None of the ones we've looked at today have really got the share structure we're looking for, to where it's small enough that you're going to get these outsized moves. So I don't know how great any of these are going to be, but this one in particular, with a 430 million share float, is going to be particularly hard to move. We should see some pretty good movement out of the gate with these, but I think that we're going to really see a quick loss of volatility and volume as this morning goes on, and they're going to be a bit of a slog afterwards, especially this one, CLVT. Great earnings, getting Morgan Stanley retained for the sale of their life sciences division. I don't know what the valuation is with that, but I'm sure that's going to be a future catalyst that we're going to eventually trade on. And they also gave an improved outlook. So really hitting the marks with their news. Company's got lots of cash. If we can recapture VWAP, we might see some better price action, but I don't know how great it's going to be with that 430 million share float.
Okay, really good breakdown there. I've got a fair value gap identified here on the chart. It looks like we've basically tested the top end of that, but we have not traded into it. So We'll see if that holds up here. Blaze Rhino saying market volume still in hibernation. We talked about this a number of times. We are actually expecting from today through the end of the week for the volume to increase as the Lunar New Year is now officially over. And on top of that, we also have the NVIDIA print coming this week as well. So we are expecting a couple of things to maybe increase that. But Blaze Rhino, you're not wrong. Volume has been low recently.
China markets reopened today. They did reopen today. So we'll get more of that volume over there. Other Asian markets were already opening yesterday. So we should be fully through the Lunar New Year slog, and we'll see some better volume hopefully going forward, especially with NVIDIA earnings coming tomorrow.
Okay. All right. Very, very good. 13. Here's another one. And here we go. All right. The next one on the list is IOVA. This is Iovance Biotherapeutics. Iovance Biotherapeutics shares are trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q4 sales results. Also, the company announced early data from its pilot clinical trial in patients with advanced UPS or dedifferentiated liposarcoma. Excuse me. Okay, so we got good data and decent earnings here. That's causing the stock to trade higher here. I do have a fair value gap identified here. This is actually not that far away. 323, the top end of that, 320. So this is the other thing. When you have these gaps, you can actually increase the chance that this is going to work if you have a fair value gap paired with a break in structure. And that is exactly what we have here. So I'm going to outline that for you. We're going to use the horizontal ray. We're going to mark this top right here. This area right in here is your buy zone. I would have probably a stop near the end. Let's see what 320. Absolutely. Stop would be at the bottom of the fair value gap. And we'd be looking for a curl back up towards 350. In a perfect world, we'd actually break that and go higher. Quick peek at the short interest on this name. 31.62% of the float shorted with 7.57 days to cover. This is the most elevated short interest name of the ones that we've checked so far. On average, this stock trades 11 million shares. It's done 4 million here today, but it has a float of 332 million. 13, what do you think here on IOVA?
I think they're going to have to do some kind of capital raise later this year. Maybe like in the third or fourth quarter. They have some cash, but the way that they're going through it, they're going to have to raise it sometime later this year. As far as the chart goes, we're actually at a price that was that's kind of in that support resistance area. If you look at a daily chart and go back to April of last year, you can see that, and look at 340. That's where we're at right now. You can see that this is an area that is kind of like a big question mark for me right now. Can we get through this? And if we do, is that going to take us up to about 430, 440, right before we had this gap in February of last year? So that's kind of where I'm at with this. We're trying to get over the 200 EMA on the daily chart. We've done that. Now we're in this this consolidation zone from April. And I'm not sure that we're going to get through that, but if we do, I think that we've got some pretty clear levels to the upside. Slightly higher than 4, like around 430 that I mentioned earlier. That gap fill that takes us up to 5. Those would be some other areas I'd be keeping an eye on if we can manage our way through this 340 area.
Okay. All right. Really good breakdown there. IOVA. We'll see what we get here. This is actually re-pushing to the pre-market highs here today. Next on the list is CDIO. The two I'm going to mention here are ones that we have recently. This didn't have news. Did it? Maybe. Let me just check before I make a guess here. CDIO, the stock is up about 17%. We traded it not long ago. Yeah, I don't have anything fresh here on this name, so this looks like just kind of more trading action. You can see what's happened ever since that impulse move. We basically have just drifted higher. Now we've drifted higher yet again here. Quick peek at the short interest CDIO, 8.5% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. On average, the stock trades 3 million shares, done 3.5 million here today. Floats the 1.7 million, 13. So we got one that fits our criteria. What do you think on CDIO?
Yeah, I just looking around to see if I could find anything that's causing this to go. It could just be relative volume. If you look at
yesterday, looked a little weak though, but
lots of volume though. Lots of volume. As a matter of fact, this is the highest volume print I have for this stock. Was yesterday. I'm sorry, the day before. I take that back. It was the day before. It was Friday. And we're still trying to get through this 200-day SMA. This should be like an area of rejection. Look at all the sideways consolidation here from right where we're at until let's see, about almost $5, like $4.85 to $5. Just a sideways consolidation that we have to get through. So that would be what I'd be looking for, is to get through this. And if we can, then my next area of interest is going to be this gap fill from May last year.
And that's about 6 and change up towards 12.
Yeah.
Okay. Good stuff there. The last one is going to be Rhyme. This is one we talked about recently. This is Algorithm Holdings. Here's the range that it carved out by that huge move. It's done pretty much nothing but bleed that back. Now we're starting to trade back up, and we're doing so on volume. Let me see if there was any news on this. The stock was down almost 13% yesterday. We do have some news here today. Okay. Algorithm says Semicab awarded a pilot program with Coca-Cola India to launch a pilot transportation program on Semicab's collaborative freight platform. Okay, so that's some news there. I don't know how great that is. It is up 25% on the back of that headline. 7% of the float is shorted with 1 day to cover. So there's some here, but it's not all that great. On average, stock trades 6.3 million shares. Its float is 5.7 million. Today, we've done 2.5 million. Any thoughts here on Rhyme 13?
I'm not exactly sure what this company does. I see Semicab and Singing Machine. So what are they? Transportation.
Algorithm Holdings is an AI technology and consumer electronics holding company with 2 primary business units, Semicab and Singing Machine. Semicab is an artificial intelligence-enabled software logistics business operated through its subsidiary, Semicab Holdings. Singing Machine is a home karaoke consumer products business that designs and distributes karaoke products globally.
What?
Why those two are mixed up together, I couldn't tell you, 13.
I guess that's where my hang-up is. I'm trying to understand what this company does. So, okay, let's just look at, I'm just going to go to the chart then, because that's the only thing that can really make sense at this point.
Fair enough.
Let's see here. On a 5-minute chart, we're coming up to some resistance from, what was this? That was what, Thursday, or what was that? Was that Thursday, the 20th? No, Friday. So we're coming up to some resistance there. Is this sideways consolidation in the pre-market? That's going to be at about 260. That's what's caught my eye right now. And that consolidation that happened in the after hours in pre-market for the Friday and Thursday. We just got these pops, and then we would come right back into that consolidation by the end of the day. So that's going to be my big resistance area that I'd be keeping an eye on. 260. Like I'd say maybe 250 to 260. Let's see if we can even get into that area. That's all I've really got right now.
Yeah, that's really all there is here on Rhyme. I don't trust this after watching the last one. I mean, by the time we got to it, the stack did nothing but sell off. Maybe it'll change. We'll see. The only other stock that's on the list here is AMD, which we talked about. Advanced Micro Devices shares are trading higher for the company announced a partnership with Meta. Deploys 6 gigawatts of power for its GPUs. All right, 13. What do you want to take a look at here? We've got 7 minutes till we open. I need to step away for a sec. I'll bring up whatever chart it is that you want. Do you have one that you want? Should I ask the group what they want to see?
Ask the group, because I don't have anyone in one particular that I was looking at.
Okay.
I'll take a look, whatever they want.
All right. Let me know what you want to take a look at there. Jay Harris wants to take a look at Avago, but it's the exact same thing as yesterday. Nothing's changed here, dude. We're still above the 200. We're still right beneath that 13. I don't know if you want to go over this one. Let me see if there's any.
Sure, I can.
Okay. I'll step away real quick. I'll be right back.
Okay. So Broadcom earnings a week from tomorrow. Just looking to see if there's any news here. Still looks like it's just coming down on the AI exhaustion. I don't think AMD's news is really giving it a lift. Let's look and see what levels we have here. So we still have that 200-day SMA that provided some support the last time it was down here. That was on February 4th. And we reversed off that. We're still having resistance from the 50-day SMA. So that's kind of the small range that we're in here. Support from about 300, resistance at about 350. Lost the 20-day SMA. Still looks like that I would say 317, maybe 315 to 317 area where that 200-day SMA is. That still looks like you could get some support there. Hasn't really broken down. It's just gone sideways for the most part. We did have that dip beneath the 200 on the 4th, but we recaptured that. So it looks like it's going to break down more, but we haven't gotten there yet, because I think we need to lose those levels. We need to lose that 200-day SMA. We need to lose, we need to lose that 315 to 317 area. And we already gap filled from that September 4th, 2025 gap. So I'm not really looking at that. And to me, it looks like 300. If we lose that 200-day SMA, 300's the final line in the sand there. We lose that. Could be a trek down to 250.
Okay. Jay here saying Avago, they bought a few software names over the last few years, which is probably why it's lagging. TSM.
I have no worries about Broadcom. They're going to be just fine in the future. So if you have a long-term prospect on this one, I think you're going to be just fine. It's the short term that I'm not so sure about. With all the AI names coming in, the concerns. I think once those are alleviated, these will start trading better. But right now, this looks like it wants to come back in some more. We could get a death cross if we lose that 200-day SMA and start trading down towards 300. So I'm not going to say that there isn't a possibility that this goes lower, but it's gonna be great in the future. So I'm not worried about it.
Okay, really good stuff. AV is another one here. We can take a look at that as well. This is one of your best in breed drone makers. And 13, I don't know what you think about this. I was floating this a little bit earlier. One of the things I'm going to be looking at today is a position in some of these defense ETFs. As Red Dog pointed, they've already kind of moved. But I got a sneaking suspicion we hear something in the State of the Union today that causes those to move even more. And some of them might actually break some resistance spots. So we'll see. Now, AV, the reason I mentioned that again here is because AV, best in breed drone player here. I am going to say that this head and shoulders that we had drawn on here, or potential head and shoulders, was invalidated by that right shoulder just moving too high. We are actually sitting right beneath the 200-day. We also have a long-term trend line here, 13. This, maybe it's not that long-term. This originated in June of 2024, so it's about a year and a half old, maybe a little bit more than that. We'll see if we can, we'll see if we can get back above the 200 and then maybe break this trend line here. I don't have like an edge on where this is going to go in the near term. RSI pretty much right smack dab in the middle, kind of in no man's land. MACD histogram did just turn to green, but we need to get ahead of some of these moving averages. And then the other thing here, and 13, you might have been rearing to talk about this. If this stock rolls over, not only are we going to have a retest of some of these support levels down here, 235, 240, wherever you draw your lines, but we also might have that 50 roll over and then pitch through the 200, giving us a death cross. If we have that, this stock might resolve even lower than that. So 13, what do you think here on AVAV?
I think watch the 50-week SMA. If we lose that, we start closing that, I think there's going to be some more downside. The 224 level I've had marked off. That's going to be support. Beneath that, I've got it's just under 185, so there's another support level there. But that 50-week SMA, I think that's the signal there. We have traded beneath it. We've recaptured it. I think if we close 3 weeks underneath that moving average, that's going to indicate further downside to come.
Okay. Really good stuff there on Broadcom. We got less than a minute. Let's go ahead and get ready. We'll shift over to the main workspace. Good luck, folks. Here, another, Jay, I love this. Important week. A whole bunch of software is reporting. I'll be looking for any bad news that does not cause the stock to go down. So, Jay, there's a lot here. I love that. Let me know what you take on the back of this.
CLVT just popped right before we opened here. This blasted through the VWAP. We needed to get through that and went up to 220. It's still kind of holding up here above the two, well, it was at 215. Now it's kind of leaking. But if we hold VWAP here into the open, let's see if we can get back above 220 high prior to this move.
Okay. There's the gap there on CLVT, LRMR. This also had one here. Let me redraw that. And we're getting ready to open. Getting ready to open, folks.
No, Alpha, the 50-week SMA is not the 200-day SMA. They're different values by about at least 20 points. All right. Let's see here. Did we open? Because CLVT isn't doing anything. Just sitting there. All right, so I'm going to move on from that. Rhyme, this one looks like it's trying to push up to that 265 area. Looks like it's coming back in, and it's lost VWAP. Veer, sideways still trying to push through the 200 EMA.
This is VIR. Thank you.
Yeah. Here we go. A little bit more movement in CLVT now. This thing has no volume, but it's still moving. IOVA, that went underneath VWAP, trying to get a turnaround going here. 350 has a large seller in the way, and that's where the resistance is. That was where it was in the pre-market, so it's probably the same seller. Rhyme getting walked down right now. Looks like
IOVA did not come into the level that we were hoping. We'll continue to watch that, though.
All right, let's push through 350. It's taking that seller out right now.
You guys are saying what's going on with Ondas. Let's take a look. Looks like it's down 4%. Did we have news on this?
Both of these, so a lot of these biotechs are just breaking down out of the gate here. Watch for some support to kick in. Veer, this lost the trend line that we drew on the bottom side, so this is really coming in now.
Okay.
LRMR, this is trying to push through.
VWAP?
It's not just VWAP, but trying to recapture that support area that turned into resistance at about 375. CLVT, that popped to session high 227.
LRMR possibly going through the VWAP here. Sorry, I was a little slow on that.
And then
pulling here down to 680. We talked about that level. This is where it bounced 3 times yesterday. We'll see if we do it again.
Yeah, and if it loses that, then 676 is the line in the sand. IOVA went to that 350 area, got rejected. So there's that seller right there at 350, still providing resistance. Getting a bit of a turnaround here, or a bounce in Rhyme. There's a seller in the way at 227. That might suppress some of this upside, but if he gets taken out, we should see the 230s again.
Okay, here's your Rhyme. So yeah, Ondas, didn't see any news on that. Looks like it's just kind of pulling back right here out of the open. We've seen that before. Apple straight up out of the open, 271, and a VIX check-in, 2169 on the VIX.
So it looks like we're getting a rebound in some of the names that we're selling off out of the gate. Veer trying to re-enter or recapture that trend line. Rhyme trying to recapture VWAP. IOVA still trying to push through 351. CLVT, we've got some new highs here, but it doesn't look like they're able to hold them. And frankly, going to need to see some better volume.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't see anything here that I particularly like. CLVT, I guess we had a test of the top end of this gap here in the pre-market, but I would have waited that one out. SPY still battling here, 680, 681. NASDAQ leading the way lower. That is pounding the lows now. NASDAQ now down 0.15%. That was up the most in the pre-market. That's now gone green to red.
Are we back to memory names ripping and everything else down? How are the memory names? Is Micron up? It's flat mostly. SNK, what's that? That one's up slightly, up 1.25%. Then let's see, WBC.
Last squawk I have for Ondas was February 9th. You guys are saying, Benzinga, Ondas has news. Check squawk. The last transcription I have here was, in fact, from the 9th of February. So let me know what it is. I'll see if I can find it, but I don't have it here. Let me check the news feed, see if there was anything else in there.
Western Digital and Seagate, those are down today. So it's mostly the high bandwidth and the RAM that's doing well. Storage, like flash memory and traditional hard drives, doesn't seem like that's really getting the love today.
Okay.
LRMR, this is back above VWAP, trying to get above that. We're slightly above that 375, trying to go higher, facing some resistance. CLVT still trying to get over that VWAP. IOVA has seemingly gotten over the VWAP right now. And we're still
I appreciated it. I mean, look, I like dad jokes just as much as the next guy, so I appreciated that. By the way, that little pullback, we almost got to that fair value gap zone.
Yeah, and it looks like LRMR is trying to get back up to 4 and push through that. There's a seller in the way. As a matter of fact, we're trying to take it right now. Just got to pop up to 4. Let's see if we can get through it.
LRMR 404 is your pre-market high. We're basically right there. SPY still doing its best to hold on to 680. We're going to watch this battle here, though. I'll tell you what, I don't see anything great yet, and I'm not necessarily in a rush to try any of this stuff. Just throwing it out there. Now, if SPY holds 680 here, I could make the case for maybe taking a very quick trade on the SPY.
Yeah, Western Digital, and I noticed that Seagate was also down. It's because they're in the longer term storage, not the volatile storage like RAM. So I think that's the big difference here, is that it's the more the high bandwidth memory and the volatile memory that's not getting hit as hard as some of these longer term storage like Western Digital and Seagate. All right. So we did get 355 in IOVA. So we got over the 351 level, trying to hold above it now.
Seeing a number of penny stocks at the top of the scanner here. It looks like that's where the high volume is trading. AMD looks like this found some support there at the 65 EMA on the 5-minute. This is also so my little indicator here actually drew a gap. This was based off the 15-minute chart that incorporated some of this down move. We'll see if it holds here. Don't feel great about this. Also, 5-minute trend definitely bearish. 15-minute trend is bearish, and the daily trend here is choppy. So I don't feel like we necessarily have anything helping us out there. Good morning, Lion.
Yep. Good morning, Lion. Mulek is back.
Oh no, MLEC.
Yeah, Mulek is back. It's kind of slow moving, but it's ripping at the same time. 1810.
How is that possible?
Well, because it's in the same 5-minute candle, and so you're seeing it like jump, and then it just sits there, and then it jumps again. So it's slow moving, but it's getting some good movement.
But it's jumpy, slow moving, but jumpy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like a schizo grasshopper.
Oh, that sounds like fun. That sounds like fun. All right, SPY for the first time, and market here as well, trying to bounce. We'll see if that continues. No position on it.
One we traded yesterday is in an upside halt is ANPA.
ANPA? ANPA?
ANPA. Yeah, Rich Sparkle Holdings. This is halted to the upside. This was jumping out of the gate here. Might run up to the 1060 area, but I don't know how great this one's going to be. I just noticed it was in a halt. Rhyme, this one getting a nice reversal, recapturing VWAP. This is trying to push up towards the 265 area. I think that's where it's headed. If we can get over the 246 pre-market high, it's looking like we want to get into that area of consolidation that I had mentioned when we were talking about this in the pre-market.
Really quickly here, IBM, good mention here from James. This actually break in structure here from the pre-market as we continue to push higher. That's actually on some pretty good volume. And folks, I actually missed this. I'm sorry, I was watching it and I still ended up missing it. Big bounce here on SPY. We did in fact hold 680. We moved 2.5 points off of that. No position here for me, but good Lord, that ended up working there. That was, and it's actually slowing down here. So I would say if somehow you were able to get entry there on a 680 hold, I would be shedding some right here. The low on the SPY DTE contract was 58 cents. It is $1.07 now. That's going to be the 685 contract for SPY. Nice bounce there. I didn't hit it. Damn, I was actually thinking we might bounce after that, and I missed entry.
How good was that? That was perfect. It was right to 680. The low of this candle is 680 with 2 zeros at the end of it.
And like I said, I'm disappointed in myself because I've literally been talking about that since we got on the air here, and I don't have a position for it. Shame on me. Okay. And it actually keeps rolling higher here now too.
Now resistance is going to be at 684. Okay, you see that from the price action yesterday and in the pre-market today. 684
right
is the resistance.
Right here. Yeah, absolutely.
So if we get up there, maybe that's a good spot to start paying yourself. I don't know that we're going to break through. And if we do break through, the resistance after that is 685.54.
Okay, so nice.
I know it's oddly specific.
Look, that was a nice little bounce there on SPY. Awesome stuff. I am sorry I wasn't fast enough on that one. Sorry, guys. IOVA, this is continuing higher here. IBM from James's mention on that break of structure here, that's actually continuing higher. This area from yesterday was a resistance area. This 233.5, 234 area. We're on that right now.
I have a trend line. Do you see it?
No, just tell me where it is.
It's on the top side. The highs. Use the highs from the pre-market.
From yesterday?
No, just today. The highs, IOVA.
Oh, I'm looking at IBM, dude. No wonder I didn't see anything. And now I see it.
And we're going right to it. It looks like 375 might be where it runs into that trend line.
So this is where we're going. Oh no, you started it down here.
Yeah.
And then you ran it through here. Got it. Got it. Sorry, that took me a sec.
We'll see how good that is. Waiting for rhyme to break out. It'll be a Buster rhyme.
Oh,
that's awesome.
I like it. I like the Busta Rhymes mention. The bounce on SPY is still
and look at IOVA. There it is. Right to it. Boom. Right to the trend line.
All right. I'm handing out register rings, even though I'm not participating here because those are some good calls. IOVA right to the trend line. Let's see if it finds some resistance here. This is a trim area.
It should at about 380. I see a big seller in the way at 380. So if this volume is what we're going to get up into this this price, then I think we'll see resistance there. It might back off around this level, and then if it finds support, let's say around like 355, and turns back up, the next visit could be a breakthrough. This first one might not be.
Okay, good stuff. Yeah, flip mode. Oh man, that's it. That's bringing back some nostalgic vibes there. The Busta Rhymes mention, flip mode mention. I'll take it. I will take it. IOVA right to that trend line and is now backing off. That was clearly a resistance area. I hope you trimmed right there. SPY continuing its bounce. NASDAQ doing the exact same thing.
And VIR is back. This coming right up to the consolidation prior to the open. Found some support after hitting 912. We're back at 10. And trying to recapture the 200 EMA on the 5 minutes. Sorry.
Okay, real quick here. It's totally fine. Lion says, I'm selling this pop. We just talked about selling this pop at 684. We are at 683.60. So as far as what the charts were telling us here on the short-term trade, selling the pop up there makes a lot of sense. Those SPY 0 DTE calls on the 685 contract, they went from 58 cents to 142. So that was an awesome bounce. I am disappointed that I was unable to catch that. Now, here's the one thing on VIR to keep in mind. We actually, check this out. Yep, right here to right here, indeed. So we actually have a bearish fair value gap that we are coming into right about here.
Nice.
So we have the VWAP lining up almost perfectly with that fair value gap area. I would consider that resistance 1 for VIR. No position for me, but that's one of the things I'd be looking at. SPY still strong here. Same with the NASDAQ. Those are both at the highs. Dow, the same deal.
Keep an eye on Rhyme. I think it's still trying. It's holding above VWAP, but it's trying to get through this 240 area. There's a seller in the way at 236. So we take out that seller, I think we're going to get our breakout here. Just need more volume. That's really
Jay says this market is tricky. The two names that acted better yesterday, Google and Nvidia, are red here today. Indeed, it is, Jay. And this is one of the reasons why swing trading, this chop, has been very, very difficult. Oh, excuse me. It almost seems that the better move is instead to just kind of day trade some of this.
Mm-hmm. Swings have not been working out.
No, they really haven't. They've been very difficult. They have been very, very difficult. Hans here saying small position long on now. If you wanted maybe a cheaper way to play this, you could also use NOWL. That would be the long levered ETF here for ServiceNow. This thing straight up out of the gate, 4-point move here out of the gate. Here's NOWL. It's going to be your levered ETF to the upside. This should be cooking even more here today.
Yeah,
and SPY continuing to go higher here now. I missed an unbelievable trade on this today.
Veer's trying to push higher. I think with ServiceNow, you're gonna run into some consolidation between 106 and 108. That might see the price action slow down. I don't know if it's going to reverse and sell, but this is an area of consolidation between 106 and 108. If you just look at like an intraday chart and try to put as many days as you can into view, you can see this 106 to 108 area has got a lot of
what ticker are you on?
Now, ServiceNow.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking for a $1 stock. That's completely my bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So you gotta see if you can try to put as many days on there on a small time frame as you can, because you want to see the intraday price action and how this 106 to 108 area has got a lot of consolidation pretty much for the entirety of this month. This is it's just that range right there. We get up to that level, go sideways, and then we sell back off. You got to get as many days as you can. You have like 2 there. There you go. The more you can put on there, the better. It really helps the 106 to 108 area stand out.
Here, well, I can probably do this on a 15.
There you go.
Here's the 106 to 108 area right in here. Yep.
Yeah, so that's where we're coming up to. I think we see some resistance in there. Or if not, we'll see the price go sideways.
Okay, real quick here. Jay, taking bets. Jay will bet anyone from the group here $100,000 that IBM is not over 110 days.
300.
300, excuse me.
I'm not taking that because
neither am I.
I think he's right.
I'm gonna let Jay do his thing there. I'm not stepping in the way of that truck.
I might even, Jay, what do you think about this? And I don't want to make this a bet, but I'm just kind of wondering what you think about it.
What a bounce!
It won't. It'll be under 200 sometime in the next 10 days. What do you think about that one? I don't know if it'll happen, but I'm looking for under 200.
I see your bet and raise you one of my own,
right.
Says 13.
I'm just actually curious.
Indeed, Lion, Apple looks good today. That's straight up out of the gate. 274.60 is the high there of the day. Tesla's actually higher out of the gate here too. Talked about that with Red Dog earlier today.
Okay, so he doesn't think that we're going under 200 in the next 10 days. That's fine. It may not be that quick, but I still think that we're going to go under 200.
VIR at resistance here. I'm not going to try trading this short, but this looks like this is coming up to resistance.
IOVA, we got OVA, the trend line, and we're kind of holding OVA it right now. Not sure how long we'll hold over it, but if we close this candle, we're going to want to see a back test of this trend line as support.
IGV, this is bouncing nicely here today. IGV has already traded 97% its average volume, and it's 9:48 in the morning, folks. So IVG looks like there is definitely some bullish pressure here, or pressure to the upside.
Speaking of pressure, Rhyme almost had that breakout, and then a seller stepped in and said, not right now, not today, and suppressed that break out that was going to take out the 246 pre-market high. Now we're losing, or we were trading just a moment there underneath VWAP. Maybe if this holds here at VWAP, the next attempt to break out could be the one.
Look at this bounce in SPY. We basically went right to 685. I know we traded above it briefly, but we were right there. Wow. What a bounce there in SPY. What a bounce. NASDAQ, the same deal.
Yeah, I think
Amazon,
we gotta be
nice
careful.
bounce. Izzy, did you scalp Amazon today? That's the perfect down-up move from Amazon.
I feel like we got to be careful with this. We don't want to get trapped in this.
No, definitely not. These would have only been short term. And here's the thing about Amazon, Izzy. This basically did what the SPY did. This came in, held yesterday's lows, and then bounced ferociously. 3-point bounce here on this. And folks, if you're trading this bounce at any point, like Lion was saying earlier, looking to sell these, we're still in a downtrend in a lot of this stuff on the daily. So taking gains, not a terrible idea. At minimum, partial gains on this.
Yep.
Not the worst idea at all.
Yeah, I don't think so. I'm not sure about this price action here. Yeah, we hit 680 on the dot and turned around, but and we got over 684. Now, can we hold above it? Are we going to get that resistance that we were talking about? I don't know, and I'm not sure that. And we're still early in the day, so there could still be some news or something that happens that pulls the market right back down. So,
sorry, really quick. I thought you were done there. I apologize. VIR struggling with this resistance area. I actually might want to extend this box down just a tad there. It is struggling with this resistance area. Basically traded back to VWAP, and it is stopping there. I've got VWAP at 1023. It's also worth noting that the 5-minute trend here is choppy. The daily trend is bearish, and the 15-minute trend is bearish. So I would suspect that this resistance area ends up holding here. That's VIR.
Rhyme lost its VWAP. So if it can't recapture it, this looks like it could come in lower, maybe to $2. We're getting a little bit of topping action here in IOVA, but it's still over the trend line. As long as it can hold above the trend line, we might see another push up. And if it loses this trend line and starts coming back in, VWAP's going to have to be the support. Hey, remember X-Ray? That's having a good day.
Yes, I do. I have some. I have this really small, but I do have some X-Ray here, and that is having a nice day. Earnings in 2 days on this Thursday after the market closes.
Do I follow IRDM? That's one of my more preferred space plays. I think it's one of the only 2 space plays that I've been watching that actually pays a dividend. How's that one doing today?
Which one do you want me to put up here?
IRDM.
IRDM.
This is Iridium. What's this one looking like? So this one might be turning around here. See that on the daily chart? We had a drop in September, kind of went sideways since then. We just recaptured 20 earlier this month, and we've been holding above it. Now we're in some of the resistance territory from the last sideways consolidation that took place pretty much from February of 2024 all the way until we had that drop in September last year. What was the thought here with IRDM? I mean, I know that I like this one. I think it's great, and I don't know that they've done any Golden Dome contracts yet. I don't know if they will either, but they do pay a dividend. It's over for GE Vernova, all-time high, and Kramer endorsed. So if Kramer says something about it, that's when you know it's done. Let's take a look here. Oh my God, look at this thing. It went over 250, or I'm sorry, 850 today.
This was such a good call. I thank you all the time for this 113. You had this one on my radar.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to think. No problem.
I'm just gonna say I'm thinking about the Kramer thing too. Oh, it is what it is, folks.
I mean, it still could, it still could go to 1,000 if I'm being honest. But I think that you're right about there being some coming in. We're getting a little bit extended. I mean, how far away are we from the 20-day SMA now? We're not too far away, 9%. So not too far away from the moving average. We could still extend a little bit higher, but yeah, I mean, if you're in this for a trade, I mean, we're almost at 72 RSI. It's all-time highs, like you said. If you're trading this and you don't have the long-term investment prospect that I do with this, then certainly pay yourself. I may even consider selling a little bit as well.
900 seems about right, and then save a little for maybe 1,000 test.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at the MACD and the RSI, and it does look like it's getting pretty extended, and I don't know how much more of this we're going to see. So it would make sense to trim. It would.
Keys here. You had a nice little break in structure here as keys dipped from the pre-market, then took out the pre-market highs, which correspond with the after-hours highs. This kept running. Looks like it's running into some resistance at the round 300 number. That's Keys, Keys.
Oh, James, don't worry. I know
Yeah.
a lot about IBM and how much they've got going on. And I'm not giving the charts too much at all. I'm just giving my my spot on where I think I'm a buyer. And these prices, they tend to come back into some support levels, and 175 to 206. That's where the support is.
And there's definitely, I mean, with every company, there's more than what the charts say. I mean, we bring Mark Petrino on here regularly on Friday to tell us that really what the charts are showing you is the trader's kind of mental disposition about that. The point about Watson's well made. We actually talked about this being an OG AI play because of Watson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were the first ones that were doing AI.
Yeah.
I used to own it too, but I sold it when it was getting very extended, as one should, and it's come back in. So now it's getting attractive again. LRMR finally might be making that push to get over 4. We've been waiting all morning for this. It's been hitting it, but hasn't been able to close over 4. So we might be getting it here with this.
And we're right there. Yep. That VIR still holding right at that resistance area. CLVT, this is another one that we talked about. This had a break of the pre-market high. IBRX, I think Kathy's on this one, or was. IBRX 11 is your high from yesterday. Tesla's trying to build and go higher here. It looks like, what, 404 stopped it, thereabouts?
I'm just, kind of thinking about what we might get from the State of the Union, and I'm wondering if we're going to see a lot of talk about space, the Golden Dome, going to the moon.
That would help the aerospace and defense idea that I'm looking for. So again, I'm looking for ITA Aprils and Defend March calls.
And one of the reasons for this is because there's a lot of competition happening in space right now. Space is getting more and more weaponized. It's literally the next frontier. And so I think that
I thought it was the final frontier.
It could, yeah, it is, but it's also the next one.
Okay. Okay, makes sense.
Hey, the next one might be last. So.
Really quickly, Wiss, appreciate this. FGL, this was halted to the upside. Big pop out of the gate. This is open now. I'm not interested in this one. I'm looking at this here. Looks wild. Looks super spread too.
X-Ray having a great day. It just continues to go up.
Also pays a dividend, don't forget.
Mm-hmm.
This was, I think, someone else has this as a conviction buy, but I can't remember. Thomas Hayes, I think.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Zoltan or.
Yeah, well, I meant, I guess I don't even want to disparage Zoltan because he's one of the best researchers I know. But I was going to say someone perhaps a little bit more famous.
Almonte Industries. Oh, okay. I haven't looked at this one in a while.
That's ALM, right?
Yeah, but I still have my drawings on here. And wouldn't you know it, we are breaking a trend line here. You got to go to a daily and make sure you've got all of 2025 on your screen, and you'll see it. The trend line right there.
Yep, I'm just trying to get all of 2025. Okay. So right through these highs. So is it this one, starting at this one in July?
Yep. Takes us up, and we just
look at that. We've done an all access with Almani. This is the tungsten play. This was producer. Help me out. Can you look up the date? That was last week,
right?
What was it last week or was it the week before? Producer, help me out with the date on the ALM. Yeah, this is the tungsten, the largest. Remember, I made that mistake and he corrected me. Lewis Black corrected me on that. Producer, help me out with the date on that one, though.
And what's interesting is that this might actually represent a near term top, if not the top for now, where this could come back into about 14, maybe the 20-day SMA. it's pretty extended. You got a 72 plus RSI. We hit this trend line, and how far away are we from this? And we are 21% away from the 20-day SMA. So I think taking all these into consideration, I think this may be an area where we come back in and look for some support before we make our next move up. And I think 14 is the earliest support area, if not 15. Could this push a little bit higher? Sure, but I think that we're pretty close to being at a top here.
All right, producer's going to help me out with that one. It was mid-February when we did that.
Yeah, Jay Fabrinet, man, this was
that's FN, right? Jay's been on that one.
He has. This thing was awesome. If you picked it up in April last year, it's been having a really good February. Actually, that's what you had to. That was the play. Just pick it up after that drop on February 3rd, and you were good. Now, let's see, are we getting extended on this one? It looks like we could be coming up to, a short-term top here. As a matter of fact, Ryan, if you draw a trend line from the November highs through the December highs, we just hit it.
We actually went above it, it looks like.
I don't know why yours is so different. We have the same chart. You must be using, well, anyway, I'm using the wicks. Either way, draw your own conclusions from this trend line here.
I think you were saying that maybe feels like it might be extended a little bit.
Well, I think that we've come up to a potential resistance area where we might see some pullback. And if we get that, then it looks like somewhere between 530 and 560 might be the support area.
Joe's asking the important questions. Why did IBM call it Watson instead of Holmes? Because they didn't want anyone to think they were calling it Holmes. Maybe. Probably not, though. Lion, 61% on Apple calls. That was a nice move right out of the gate here. And don't we have that event coming up here pretty soon? March 4th, I think that is. By the way, look at the broader market. So we had that huge bounce there in SPY. Awesome for trading. We basically pared back about 50% of that. So still chopping around here, but look at that, 680 to 685. And that happened fast. Fast.
Yeah. And then we lost the 684 level. That's the one. I mean, if we're going to hold above 680, 684 is the one I think we have to close over, or else we testing 680 tomorrow, if not lower. But we also have the NVIDIA earnings at the end of the day. No, CW Parker, I don't. I'm not great with crypto. Bitcoin is pretty much where it ends for me.
LRMR, that's still holding out there at 4. Could not break that 4 level that we talked about.
Replay Game Lab with a pretty good answer here. I'd say it's pretty elementary why they called it Watson.
Okay. I'll take that. I'll take that.
What space stocks?
What space stock? Yeah.
Oh, we have a whole list, Mary. The one that I'm in is Rocket Lab. That's going to be a long-term one for me. I also like Redwire. We talked about Iridium. That one pays a dividend. I like that one. Another one that pays a dividend, it's up to you if you want to own it, Sirius X. I think those are the only 2 dividend-paying space stocks. But we've got a whole list of space names that we could go and talk about. It's always the popular ones, Intuitive Machines, Lunar, and AST, Space Mobile ASTS. Those are always popular. We got, we've been seeing Sidus Space get attention lately, but that one can be pretty volatile. That's going to be one of the ones that does data centers in space. I mean, take your pick. There's a lot of different ones. We've looked at Momentus, Planet Labs. I mean, there's a number of ones we can choose from, but the one that I'm holding right now is Rocket Lab.
And by the way, 13, you were asking about Almani. You were absolutely right. We actually did this last Tuesday, February 17th was when we aired that all access here. This stock broke 13, recaptured it, traded sideways that day, and has gone higher ever since, right up to that trend line. So that just goes to show you, those all access, there's some good stuff in there, and we just had one here with Almani. And then you guys are talking about Ford here. So I noticed this earlier. Here's Ford. This ripped out of the gate. Now you're asking if there's any news. Let's see what we have here. Ford, the only news I have here are the recalls. Ford recalls 16,000 model year 2025 transit vehicles after a brake pedal may disconnect from the brake booster pushrod. Yeah, that sounds terrible. I'm surprised that this is trading higher here. Plug-in hybrid vehicles over high voltage battery short circuit. We got a brake issue, we got a battery short circuit issue, and we have a rear suspension toe link fracture risk.
Get it
that
together,
toe
Ford.
link one affects nearly 500,000 vehicles.
Get it together, Ford. Jay, I'm looking at HWM. This, I don't see how this is the best space play. Maybe the best thing behind the thing for aerospace, like aircraft. I don't know about rockets though, and low orbit. I'm not sure about that. I maybe have to do some more research on this, but this looks to me like this is more of a thing behind the thing for aircraft. Archangel, we did briefly bring up Cytospace. You're wondering why is it down today? Let's see if we can find some news. So I noticed it was kind of getting hammered more than some of the other ones. I don't see any news today. And this thing, it already trades very thinly. They're going to have to probably do a capital raise at some point soon, maybe in the next couple of quarters, unless Sorry, go ahead.
It's okay. I was just going to say, by the way, we're getting another bounce here in SPY.
Oh, the Citus is going to offer up to $500 million in securities. So I would look into that, because that was news that they announced last month. I don't know if they've done that capital raise yet. We haven't had earnings to reflect to have that reflect on the balance sheet. So if they're going to be raising capital, I don't think I want to be an owner ahead of that. It's a mixed securities shelf, so could be consistent growth in space. Okay, so on what angle though? Because I just did admittedly I need to do some research on this, but I just looked at their website and it looks like they're more on the aircraft parts side. So what is it really that makes them a growth name in space? And when I mean space, I mean like we're leaving gravity. We're going into orbit. We're not just flying through the air, which is what I think HWM is more geared towards. But let me know. I'm curious about this one.
And as the producer is saying here, guys, smash up the like. Looks like we're looking a little sparse here. Maybe there are people watching that Anthropic conference, but you can very easily help us out. And if we're not doing something right, let us know what that is.
Mm-hmm. We like feedback. Also, look at Iova. That trend line kind of told you where it was going. We got a couple closes over it, and then the third time the third candle couldn't close. We actually lost it, went down to VWAP, and then we continued to leak. So we might continue to see this come back in towards the 65 EMA. Okay, gotcha. Okay, so you're just putting it together. All right, I got you. And I'm not saying that this isn't a good idea, because I think that given all the aircraft we're going to be building, that we're going to need this company. We have the F-47 that I'm sure Boeing is going to tap that company for some parts, right?
I tell you what, this Iova trend line, this is just a thing of beauty, 13. Just a thing of beauty.
It was fantastic. Rhyme, this looks like this is rolling over. We haven't been able to recapture VWAP. It's MACD is indicating the momentum is starting to swing to the downside, so not looking great. Same with Veer. Looks like all the movers from this morning are kind of done moving, and it's not surprising because all of the ones we looked at had really large floats. So this is kind of more or less was expected, that we would see some good movement out of the gate, and then they would just be a slog through the rest of the day, and that's pretty much what we're seeing here. HWM, yes, Raj. Thing behind the thing, makes components for aircraft and engines. Could it also be something that GE Aerospace taps as well? I don't know. Like I said, I don't know enough about HWM, but just briefly looking at them, they seem like they're really geared towards the aircraft space and making components for engines and whatnot.
Tesla so far holding on to 400. SPY looks like it's trying to trade back up. 685 test might be coming here.
We are getting a really good bounce today, and a lot of names. What's the IWM look like? Because I'm seeing smaller names have a good bounce as well. So that's almost up 1%. Look at the daily the intraday chart for IWM. It looks like this wants to go higher.
Sorry, let me bring up IWM here. So you're thinking this? You think this might break higher here intraday?
It looks like it's setting up to do that. Okay, gotcha, Jay. All right, so it's like the Walmart of aerospace. I gotcha. Okay. Oh, certainly. I'll just go ahead and add it to my space watch list, just for funsies. Big moment coming up for IWM. Looking
Big,
to
this
break the. Sorry,
pulled back. Sorry, I'm just trying to look for something here.
It's okay. AMPX. This is is Amprius Tech. This is one of the battery plays that I like. It's batteries for drones and whatnot. So having a good day today. Went down to 990 out of the gate, and now here we are at 1062. I've seen some of those seeing some of those drone names get a little bit of love. ONDS, you said, was up today as well.
No, it was down today.
It's down?
ONDS, yeah, this actually cratered right out of the open. It's bounced back a little bit here, but we're still sub 10.
Okay.
This definitely weakish here, down 3% today.
Veer looks like this is about to break down lower. And look at ANPA. I mentioned this one earlier. This one has kind of been a halt fest today.
AMP.
AN as in Nancy.
AMPA. Sorry.
It's kind of been a bit of a halt fest there.
Yeah, no question.
I was looking through some of these older ones.
I'm just looking. Yeah, some of their movers have kind of slowed down here.
Yeah.
SanDisk through yesterday's low. Actually, this looks like this might want to go lower. Haven't seen anything notable on the options yet either. And folks, just actually Taiwan Semiconductor 450 put. Those are deep in the money. I almost wonder if those are sold.
Look at TSM go.
TSM, another really nice move here today. Hey, there's Anne-Marie. Sick. And by the way, that reminds me, in 17 minutes, we've got Anne-Marie coming up. Let me know if there are any tickers that you'd like her to cover for potential options trades here. My suggestion was AMD because of the news here today, but I would turn that over to the group. What do you folks want to see? What do you folks want to see?
Jay, great point. I think the one reason people found was that uncertainty around Liberation Day. I think that's the only time we actually had a meaningful sell-off in HWM. So I'll tell you what. The next time this goes to the 200-day SMA, that could be a big buy spot, because the last time it did, it turned around and It's the only time in the past, coming up on 3 years. It's 2 years. And the only time in the past 2 years that's actually touched the 200-day SMA.
Why not NVIDIA with earnings? You know what, EKS? You're right. When you're right, you're right. Let's see what Anne-Marie can find there. IREN, you want to take, I feel like, didn't we just look at that one of the last times we had her on? AMD, NVIDIA, we can ask her about IREN. That gives us a couple to work with here.
Man, it's not fun to see NVIDIA, consolidating this long. It is trying to hold up above 180, though. If you look at a monthly chart, since September, it's been trying to hold above 180. We did have that November where we sold off, and then the very next month we were right back above it. 180 looks to be a pretty important level here with NVIDIA.
Replay Game Lab, welcome to Zinger Nation. Welcome to Zinger Nation, buddy. Appreciate you.
Austin was asking about Bloom Energy.
Yeah, I think what he's asking about is maybe we could have Anne-Marie take a look at Bloom Energy as well. I suspect, Richard, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's what you were suggesting there.
So what I like about this one, besides the new all-time highs, is that when we came back down underneath 145, we didn't go too far before we turn around and recapture that level. Now that level is support. 145 was the highs from November of last year, and now it's acting as some support.
Replay Game Lab, have fun shoveling the snow there. Have fun shoveling the snow. Are you in the New York area? Aren't you going to get like 40 plus degrees tomorrow? That might melt some of it for you.
I woke up this morning and it was 36. We're supposed to be getting highs of 71 today.
That's a hell of a range there.
Oh yeah,
that's a Texas-sized range, you might say.
Yeah, well, we don't have any mountains in your state. The weather tends to move pretty quickly.
Fair enough.
Rhyme just recaptured VWAP. It's making another attempt to take out 240. And
can't get out of the driveway. 20 inches of snow. Oh my God. Oh my goodness.
That sounds like fun.
That does sound like fun. That sounds like, I remember snow days back in the day, man. It was, you find out that school is canceled by 7:30, finish up with your breakfast, throw on the snow clothes, and make your way over to the sledding hill and the ice rink outside. That was my childhood on snow days. Those were some of the best times ever, man. One time my dad ended up driving over to where the snow hill and the ice rink were, because I had left at like 8:30 in the morning and it was 1 p.m. and they hadn't heard from me. We better go check and make sure our son's okay. And there I am out on the ice just playing hockey with my buddies. Good times. Times were simpler back then.
So, with this, we are kind of facing another renewed winter storm, right? And especially in the north. That's accurate, right?
Well, the East Coast just got blitzed by snow, but I think that's over.
Okay. I was wondering if maybe we should be looking at Generac again. And I know that we already talked about the seasonality, and how that's supposed to fall off until toward the end of May when they report earnings. Or I'm sorry, I think it's the end of April when they report earnings, but it's supposed to fall off until May. We get our footing in May, and then we turn around for the hurricane season. It's been consolidating. So just was kind of wondering if we should maybe look at that. If there's if this is going on for a period of time, but you just said it wasn't, so maybe that's not the play.
I think that at this point now, if you're looking at that for the trade, this is probably too late, right? The anticipation of that snow getting dumped was probably the time. This is probably the sell period. Now, to your point about the seasonality, that and looking at the chart here, that sets up any type of pullback to a support area. But when did you say it was May?
Yeah, May is when we start to see it kind of bottom.
So that might be something we're setting up an alert here for if this does kind of come back in. Maybe then plan for the next seasonality period might work on Generac.
So yeah, that's their next earnings is on April 29th. So then that goes into May, which according to the seasonality that we typically find our bottom there in May and start to turn around. And then when hurricane season picks up in June through November, that's when it goes on its larger seasonal rally. Buy Kleenex stock during winter. There you go. So let's see. I'm trying to think of some of the.
It's a seasonal stock.
KMB, I think, is
my
the
sides hurt from the laughter.
Kimberly Clark. I think this is, yeah, I think this one does tissues. They do a lot of paper products. Is this the Kleenex brand? They do Huggies pull-ups. This is diapers. There's another. Help me out here. Kleenex. Which brand is that? Hold on a second. Let's see here. Yeah, it is Kimberly Clark. So it is the one I got there. It's KMB.
See, you didn't even need me, 13.
I figured it out. Okay, but I mean, just some guy. Great mention. That made me think of Kimberly Clark. And this is a paper products company. So yeah, tissues certainly would be up there. And the short interest on this one is kind of interesting because I don't think I've ever seen it this high. As a matter of fact, Ryan, we might have something here with Kimberly Clark.
Okay, KMB. What do we got?
Some elevated short interest, the likes that I haven't seen before, and I don't seem to have a record of for the past 3 years. It's typically the short interest is no more than 1.5–2%, and it has been increasing since 2025, and now we are almost at 12%. The float shorted with almost 5 days
I'll tell you
what,
13, this is the end of 2025 where you really start to see those meaningful increases. And to this day, since then, it's already doubled again.
And then look at the chart. That's interesting.
That is interesting.
We have a bit of a gap fill going on there. Maybe this goes to about what, 120 or 200-day SMA?
Well, I'll tell you what, that'd be a move here. That 10-point move here on Kimberly Clark, that'd be decent. Through this gap, you're right. You might have something here.
See what Anne-Marie thinks about this.
Anne-Marie.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay. We're doing work today, folks.
We are doing some work.
We are doing work today.
And then there was okay, so Mary's saying Iridium is up. RDM. Okay, so yeah, I mean, it wasn't up this much earlier. I guess it's been steadily climbing today. Oh, and we just had a little bit of a pop recently too. That took us from 23.82 to 24.14. This getting a little extended intraday may come back in briefly under 24. I don't know if it's going to trade higher after that, but nice move here.
This is a great mention. Lambo Rolls, you got your eye out here. I absolutely love this. Lambo Rolls saying Citron short report on SanDisk. That is fresh as of today. I just threw the link in the chat if you want to go ahead and read that. SanDisk actually down 5% here now.
And this is actually Citron, right?
This is actually Citron, not Citrini. Good question, because I screwed it up yesterday over the exact same thing. Really good question. I'll take my medicine. Here's what SanDisk looks like. We are pounding the lows here. Sorry about my shading. This is a good mention, Lambo Rose. Let me actually take a peek at the short report itself.
Oh, basically, they're saying the Samsung is the real winner here when it comes to NAND memory. SNDK isn't, they're not needed basically. But go on.
No, that was it. I haven't read it, so that's good. So okay, so he's asking for thoughts here. So we've seen, where's Lion? Where the hell's Lion?
Ed Edwards, KMB makes toilet paper.
Let me see here, Lambo. This was a really good mention, and I'm sorry I wasn't prepared for it. So we basically pulled back to the 9 EMA on the daily. And so far, we are trying to hold that. I would say your next spot here, God, probably 584. I don't know if it's going to extend. That would be almost a double-digit loss. Lion, short report, SanDisk, what are you doing? Lambo Rolls wants to know, short report, SanDisk near the lows right now. Short report.
I got a trend line for you.
What do you got on the daily?
On SanDisk on the daily, yep.
This high to this high?
That high on February 3rd through the high of Friday the 13th, and keep it going. I think that could be a support level.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah, so this was a trend line that we broke out of, and now we're coming back down to back test it. I think we back tested. That could take it. That's about 615. Let's see what happens at 615. Maybe we do end up going all the way to 600 where the 20-day SMA is, but I'd be keeping an eye on this trend line and see if we can hold above it.
Okay, Lion says short this SanDisk move. This is a break from what he normally does. I like 13's trend line here.
We'll see what happens there.
And this is my, Jay, you're hitting this right here on the head. This is my biggest problem with this. A down move for these names would actually be good, right? The move is actually not a bad thing for the market as these memory names. Like, let's see some broadening. Like, let's see it come back in, hold one of those levels. I'm with you on that, Jay. God, SPY kept going higher here, by the way.
And what happens tomorrow, with these when NVIDIA reports after hours? Do these come in and kind of, today kind of hold their areas tomorrow, wait for those NVIDIA earnings, and then does NVIDIA kind of cause the whole memory market to go up again? Because one of the reasons why this memory market has seen such heights is because there is a demand for memory on the video cards and for their AI chips. So if NVIDIA is reporting that they still need those and they're still selling their cards and their chips and they and whatnot, we could see a turnaround in some of the memory names. So
yeah, Lion here saying it's run so far so fast that SanDisk might actually need to come in. Real quick here, 13, then I'm going to turn it back to you before we transition to Anne-Marie. EKS is saying, any stocks to play going into the State of the Union? So yes, I took starter positions here on the two that I talked about at the outset of the show here. I bought a little bit of ITA. I bought the April contracts for ITA. So ITA, I'm looking for 265s in April. I ended up paying $1.49 for those contracts. So that would be play one. And then I also took a little bit of defend, but on this one, the levered one, I actually took the March contract here. So defend, I'm looking at March expiry, I should have said, not the March contract. I'm looking for the March 100s. And notably, there was some volume there yesterday. It's led to some open interest. These are light chains, so don't go in too heavy on any of these. I just took a handful total here between these two. Defend for March, defend 100s for March, ITA 265s for April. Long into the State of the Union, I expect more stuff on the defense and perhaps aerospace sector to help buoy us. By the way, SPY here, I'll tell you what, you didn't need to do anything today except for SPY 0 DTE calls. If you were able to trade the 680, I was too late on it. I actually threw my offer out there and it didn't get filled, so I pulled it. We also had this pullback down here to 682-ish, and now we've ripped higher here. SPY looking real good. Oh, my. Oh, my. EKS, let me know, are you playing anything for the State of the Union? And Choctaw mentioning IOVA curling back up here. Indeed it is. Okay, 13, before we go to Anne-Marie, let me put a stock on the screen. I have to go to the washroom again. I'm sorry. I'll be right back. What do you want on the screen?
Just put anything on there because I'm just going to talk about what I'm going to do.
IOVA it is, BRB.
Okay. Oh, perfect. Well, this one, recapturing the VWAP right now, trying to come back up towards a trend line. I think that if this next visit does have some volume up to the trend line, we should be able to get through it and hold above it. So that I think that all that could happen. We just need that volume component to get us up there and keep us up there. With regard to the State of the Union address, take notes. I'm going to be taking notes because I'm going to want to make sure that I've gotten myself ready for whatever is going to be announced. I think it was the last State of the Union address that we had where he talked up the critical minerals and copper, and we were on that trade after he said it. So I think it's going to be very, very important to watch. not to get a political angle, but just to get a trading angle. Whatever Trump says that they're going to be trying to do this or that, it's most likely means less regulations and more money going into that area. So I think we're going to want to take notes for the State of the Union. Definitely worth the watch just for informational purposes.
Okay, really good timing there. 13. Let's wrap here. Let's go to Anne Marie. She's available, right? Oh, she's always available. Let's wrap here. Any closing words for the group, or did you just give them lives away?
I was just talking about taking notes at the State of the Union address. I think that if there's anything that comes out of Trump's mouth that could provide a trade, be sure that we write it down and look into some names for a trade. Because last time we had a State of the Union, it was the critical minerals, right? That was State of the Union last time. So
I think so.
I think that it bears worth listening.
Okay. Really good stuff, 13. We'll check in with you tomorrow. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. Good stuff here today, as always.
You too.
As
Take care, everybody.
God bless. All right. That is 13. He leaves room for Anne Marie. So let's see here. My camera is lagging a little bit, just a tad. Let's see what happens when I bring Anne Marie on. Does it get worse? Let's see. Hey, Anne Marie, how's it going?
Good.
I'm trying nope, I look okay. Okay, I'm trying to resolve some technical issues here, so I apologize for looking crazy. But it is what it is. Look, I'm excited. We had a number of thoughts here that people were looking at, or a number of things, that people wanted to take a look at here. What do you have for us?
So, first of all, I want to make sure that I'm not lagging. I got to see my task manager. Just really fast.
So I figured out the problem here on my end. When I maximize the screen that I have this stream in, for whatever reason, it lags my camera. And every time that you're on, I make it bigger so I can see your Thinkorswim platform clearly. And for whatever reason, the computer doesn't like that.
All right. I just did it. All right. So we got a lot to consider. We had no names, and now we have 6 names. So
ask and you shall receive, Anne Marie.
Yeah. So let's talk first about SanDisk, and we're going to use the structure that I build for these earnings candles. And so here is the weekly earnings candle. It was 4 weeks ago. Interestingly, the follow-up week, we broke the high of the earnings candle. And then for the last 3, counting this week would be 4 weeks, we've really been sitting between the close of that candle and its high. And so what we're looking at now, statistically, is a move back down through the body of the weekly candle with a potential test of 540. At the very least. So this box is what we're staring down. This is the high-low of the earnings event. And so the first, we would have to hit the top. That's our long. We're inside of that. So now that we are under that zone, we're going to walk it down until the open of that candle, which is 575, and then that base area, which is about 540 to 530. If you want to take this trade and you're saying to yourself, hey, let's see how cheap I can get that short, the anticipation, of course, it's very bullish. I'm using a super trend right here. If any of you are interested, it is the 14 and a 2.5 multiplier. Is what I'm using for the super trend to keep you on the right side of the trade. And so this area, literally, we could come all the way to 480. But let's assume that our top of the edge is 580. And so let's see if we can get a nice cheap butterfly. And let's use March. And so let's go here. Here's the 580, tons of vol sitting in here. And so you can use 580 to, I think you ought to make it bigger. 580 to 560 to 540. It's a 20-cent credit. So for $2,000. So I would try to buy this for a penny at a debit, see if it fills. Thin, but holy smokes, nobody is thinking that at all. And so if you get that in, great. If you want to see where everybody's positioned, they're positioned at the big fat round number of 600. So we could go 600 to the region we think it's going to head, which is 570. And then that would be 30 wide. So you'd go to 540, and that's still $1.45 for $3,000 of upside.
Okay, I got to be honest with you, Anne-Marie. Maybe it's the degen in me, but I love the opportunity to try and get filled for a penny on that butterfly.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, that to me, I'm like over here like, oh, I hope I can get filled on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's a fantastic one. So let me do that first. Let me write this so that we can save it and pop it up for later. Okay, so the next one to watch is, let's look at NVIDIA and let's look at statistical motion. Okay, so here is NVIDIA. It's literally been caught in, two earnings candles. It's done nothing for two earnings candles and maybe three earnings candles counting this breakaway formation. It's got a lot of bullish, look at this, into July and August. That's freaking bananas, if
Yeah,
you
it
ask
is.
me. So from that seasonality perspective, we can see it's got breakaway action. However, it's been literally a couple of earnings events ago since it broke higher, and November was its high point. So what are we staring down? Two things. One, we could have a massive expansion, and wait till you see what these guys have actually priced into the earnings event. So I built this interesting study that gives me value area high and low across earnings cycles. So the value area high breaks us out over the 200 marker. And so that would literally give us a range expansion event that could take us to 225. That's what that number would give us. And if it doesn't do that, it could take us to the bottom of the value area, since it's sitting right near the top, could take us to the bottom all the way down to 160. A lot of support showing up there. But the earnings candle it could fall into is at the price of 150. Now, let me show you something super interesting. Side note, here's Intuit. I drew this before the earnings event, and I said, okay, this is collapsing. If it loses this earnings event, it's going to stair step through all the other earnings events to end up at the last wave rotation at $350. So,
How about that for charts working?
yeah.
I mean,
So
good
this
Lord.
is a region that is absolutely do or die for Intuit. It is post earnings, of course. They just came in and did that, right? Is it? No, it's on the 26th. So this one is very interesting. It's got a lot of support here, a lot. And you can see them really trying to lift off of this edge, and they're
Mhm.
going right into that edge, right into the earnings event. So I think there's a space for either a, a pretty solid fade into 300 or a break back up over 420. But that is why I am using the NVIDIA markers to show us. Let's walk through these earnings candlesticks. Let's walk through. So here's the flip side. Look at what they are pricing into the move. Just for the few days, right? $11, $12, $11.13. That's what they're pricing into the earnings move. Period. To
I feel
me,
like
that doesn't feel like a lot.
okay. I was gonna say that feels like kind of median, right? I feel
Yeah,
that's like
it
what 5%.
definitely doesn't feel like a lot.
Don't we normally see like the options imply like a 7 to 9% move? I feel like this is basically a 5% move.
You know what?
I could be wrong. I'm just
I
going off
don't.
of memory.
Heuristically, I could say maybe, but what I feel is that feels like it's going to be a nothing burger. So the question is, why? And if we look back to the last two earnings, that's essentially exactly what we got, a nothing burger. And so if these two earnings events are predicting this third one, which is, hey, this is a nothing burger, and option sellers for the win,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to be a lot of people who will go long volatility and not be happy, and their earnings and their vol is going to be really compressed. So I do believe that they might be right here, and so butterfly is the only way to go. That's the
Okay.
reason for me saying that you don't go out and buy a flat out call, and you give it some days. Take a look at how long it takes this price action. If you wanted to say, hey, listen, I want to do an iron condor, you got to make those wings really pretty wide, and you just want to cross your fingers and hope that it's a nothing burger. If it happens to be something like this earnings event here, or this earnings event way back in February of last year, which was a collision to the floor, where, easily we could see that rotation. Old resistance has not been tested as a new sport. So I believe that these guys are not pricing in the move that they need to price in.
Okay.
So that being said, we're going to move forward. If you're saying to yourself, hey, I want to do something close up there, you have at it. I am going to go with 60% less vol. That's what I'm getting down. This is 85 vol. I'm going to go to the 54, 57 vol area and save myself 60% of that move, or whatever portion that is. So what are we thinking? It goes to 175, maybe, to 165 to 155. That's 79 cents, 80 cents. And then the other one would be 200. Look at the open interest there. 204,000, right? I mean, people are going to be long NVIDIA because they drank the Kool-Aid or whatever. I don't know. But these options are expensive on the call side, 210 to 220. That's going to be $1.44. If it's a big move, awesome. That'll work. If it's a bearish move, you're going to have a lot more ease moving into that. And let's take a look at, let me take a really quick peek at
Okay.
IV Rush. Hang on a second, from our pal at earnings.
Oh, the Ivy Crush.
No, Rush.
Oh, okay. So this is
Ivy
so
Rush
help me out with that
versus
one
Ivy
then.
Crush. So Ivy Rush is the movement that holds into and through earnings. That's Ivy Rush. Ivy Crush is the absence or a volatility compression post earnings. Very interesting little tidbit of info that they keep here in this tool. So let me just peek at it super fast. I apologize for being a slowpoke. I have not logged in here.
That's quite all right.
And then let's take a look at the Ivy Rush, and let's see NVD. All right. Okay. So interestingly, the vol. So yesterday, I was talking to the folks at Benzinga Pro when we were doing our midday money ball, and we put a trade on for NVIDIA because it has IV Rush. And that means that into the earnings, vol continues to spike all the way into the earnings and then collapses right after the earnings. If we take a look at post analysis, though, for a post earnings drift, and we take a look at NVIDIA, it's had a vol crush. Yeah, it's had a vol crush. Wow, 8 times out of 10. So this storyboard here is, I would pick one side or the other because there's a lot of volatility that breaks down after the earnings event here. This might be a good post earnings trade, especially since they are predicting no move versus big move, because they're only predicting $11 into the next trading day. Well, we sort of have that with our call side. Our put side, not so much. It's further away because we expect that if it fades, it could fade pretty hard. So I would imagine that they have cooked the books to at least say, I'm sorry, let me put away my hat.
I think you're right for whatever it's worth. I think they're definitely going to report a good number. So
yeah, they are going to report a good number, and people are going to do whatever they want to with that number. So that being said, I'd wait until after earnings to do this one because they are anticipating a nothing burger. And notice this is a weekly chart, so you've got a lot of room to wait before the price action does what it's going to do. And the broad picture says they're still stuck in the mud.
Okay.
All right.
All right. There you go. No trade till after earnings. Maybe we can revisit that on Friday. That would be a really good time for that. Yeah.
Perfect. Kimberly Clark?
KMB?
Yeah. All right. So what do we got here? This is definitely in that support structure. It bounced right off of it. The question is, what is the level of institutional ownership for KMB?
Getting it for you.
Thank you.
Sorry for being so slow.
Oh, not a problem.
Institutional ownership, 88.75% per Benzinga Pro.
So that's, for institutionally owned, that's okay. There's some of them that are like 93% or whatever. Let's do a Fibonacci here. And that Fibonacci, this support zone is very important. So the question is, if I've been holding this chart since 2020, 2019 even. And here I am, 2026, and I'm break even. Psychologically, what am I going to try and do right here? I'm going to try and cover. I'm going to try and cover. That being said, if it's institutionally owned, it's going to take a hot minute for it to resolve here.
Okay.
We've had earnings. So what's in the way of these guys? What's so funny is, 13 was saying, man, who makes Kleenex? And I'm talking to the screen. I'm going, Kimberly Clark. And I'm like, you're not live, stupid. We can't hear you. So, which is funny.
You should have just popped on and just popped in
I
and be like,
know,
it's Kimberly
it was
Clark.
hilarious.
Peace.
So, but he knew it. He knew it was Kimberly Clark. But this is this is an unreasonable breakdown. It's gap down. It took an entire earnings event to push it back up. Now it's at frontline resistance. That's also an old earnings event. I'd venture to say that this is a short in the near term, or at least something that keeps us very range bound, because we're bouncing into all of these earnings candles. And that normally gives us a resistance zone. That being said, it's still $5 to the upside. We could give it a go there. If you were saying to yourself, well, I am going to give it a go because I think 1st of March, it's going to have a bounce. Wait, what did seasonality say for this thing? Where does it give us a bounce zone? Yeah, March 9th. We're seeing a lot of March 9ths floating around. So if it gives us a bounce zone, you could go to March and say, hey, I think I'll buy the 110, 115 call spread. It's expensive. It's $2. But you could also say, I'll buy the 115, 120 call spread. And that's 53. Oops, that's 19. Sorry. The 120 call spread, and that's, 75 cents. Probably it's not going to get past 115. But if it gets to 115, that 115 could be worth 320. You could just sell the 115, buy back a 121, and then go into the expiration with a short call spread after collecting all of the bullish motion. But, 25,000 in open interest, nothing to sneeze at. So it could be a move that you could take.
Okay.
Bloom Energy.
EE.
Yes. So this one's sort of screaming to the upside. It's got a lot of traction, Listen, I bought some of this at 85 and felt like I was overpaying.
Yeah,
And so,
I know how that goes, believe me.
And so this is obviously energy, very big in the 13F aggregation that I did. There is a lot of energy and a lot of healthcare floating in those big companies. So the next line in the sand here is 183. The problem is it still has not breached the high of the earnings candle. And so I would not be buying any more Bloom until and unless I closed a week over $177.
Okay.
Do I think it could fade? Potentially, but my thought is, hey, here's the old earnings candle. It's held this for 3 weeks. Now it's moving to the top. Let's see if it can come back and hit that 150, and then I'll buy some more. So this is my thought. My thought is 150, 145. That gives me a really nice solid buy zone right in the middle of that weekly earnings candle. Actually, it shows us close to the base, but right in the 50% range of the earnings candle. And, we're in good shape for that one. So that's what I would think would be the case. Now, do you want to wait for it to do that? Or do you just want to say, hey, listen, I know it's going up. I'm going to say wait. I hear you. You know it's going up. Here's the thing. The last 2 times it hit this area, it faded. And so recent past becomes prologue, right? So recent past gives us near-term future. And so my thought would be, hey, let's have a look at that. It looks bullish, but give it a minute. Give it a minute. If you want to get in super early, you could say, hey, I just want to go to the top of the earnings candle and then I'm going to buy it. So the top of that earnings candle is like 156. And so that's what you would be looking for.
Okay.
Yeah.
Looks pretty good. Love it.
If it pulls back by Friday, Ryan Dietrich said, hey, the last week of February is always, kind of a slide into the poop bin. But
is that really what he said?
No, he didn't. I was being creative with what he said. But yes, it's normally a slide, and we'll see. A lot of traders are trying to buy these dips, and so far, traders have been rewarded with dip buying. You just have to get out at the top.
Yeah. Yeah, got to be nimble, right? That's one of the things that we've learned. If you're going to buy the dip, got to be nimble. Can't put your, and I was saying with Red Dog earlier, it looks like on the indices, a lot of them are holding up. But if you look at individual names, there are a lot of them, especially software names, that look like they're already in a bear market. So, yeah. Okay, T-shirt idea: slide into poop times. That might be a messy 113, but we'll have to give that a shot. Okay, Anne-Marie, we've only got a couple of minutes left here. Let me just ask you, do you have any thoughts on potential stock or ETF moves based on the State of the Union this evening? Or is this something that you just kind of wait for it to get out of the way and then maybe think about what gets mentioned there, what might move?
Yeah, it's what I've noticed is that we, as a group, we've become extremely complacent about news. Used to be we would freak out if anything would happen. If he tweeted, market down 100 points. If he up 300 points, whatever, all over the place. Now we're like, what you got for me? And
seen it before.
Yeah, exactly. Is that all you got? So I would say, let's just hang out. There's too much buying pressure underneath us to go short. There's too much overhang for us to go long. And then the permabulls are like, hey, you guys were saying, who's also Ryan Dietrich, hey, you guys were saying, it was only the Mag 7 that was moving the markets up. And now it's not the Mag 7, it's everybody else. But it's not really everybody else. It's just this, hey, let's go hide someplace else because, big money never leaves the market. It just goes to hide somewhere else. And so that's what we keep watching.
Okay. All right, Anne-Marie, really good stuff here. I'm excited to catch up with you on Friday. Between now and then, hopefully we have some more volume as the Lunar New Year officially ends, and then also, obviously, that NVIDIA earnings. So we've done a good job looking at stuff. Really good job here today, as always. Look forward to catching up with you on Friday.
All right. See you later.
All right. Take care. Bye, that is Anne-Marie Baiynd. All right, folks. We are done here for today. We're going to be back at this again tomorrow. Promise me that you will stay glass half full, and we will see you tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Stay green, stay safe, stay focused. We'll be back at this again tomorrow morning. Have a great